Good evening, everyone. Off the Ropes, episode 8. Night of Champions, an AEW Double or Nothing preview show. That's a mouthful, fellas. We got lots to talk about tonight. It's your boy Bret Sweeney here, along with the entire Off the Ropes gang tonight for the first time ever. We've got Brandon Ogden, Kyle Owens, Jeremy Hubbard, and Matt Diggs. Fellas, welcome.
Tell you, we're going to run out of room pretty soon.
Well, we talked about last week, Jeremy. You weren't here with us. It's like the Brady Bunch, we just keep growing. Might have 9 squares at some point. It's awesome to have all the opinions, and we've missed yours the last few weeks, Jeremy.
Well, I thought about that a few times last week when I wasn't here and thinking about somebody has to keep KO in line, and I wasn't here to do it. And so I think that's probably what you missed more than anything, right?
No, listen, you didn't have to keep me in line. Oh, Professor over there kept me in line. So somebody's always got to keep me in line.
I stole your bit already. I don't even know who you are, and I'm stealing your bit. That's why I was asking you off the air what your bit is, so I can give it back to you.
I guess it's protecting KO from Bret and Brandon, but we can. I guess it's listen. He does it enough on his own that he may need both of us anyway, so it'll work out.
Especially tonight, he's sideways. I don't know what this is. We'll be doing with this.
Look, I could do it like this the whole time, and I'm gonna have to hold my phone, and I'm not doing that. I could do it upside down, but then when I set it down, it cuts me off. So
yeah, we're really just kind of giving an insight to what's it like inside of his head.
That could be it. It could be it. So I know we're going to talk about the 2 shows, but it's been a few weeks since we've talked, fellas, and something that I want to bring up that's been announced since we're on the air. What do y'all think about the AEW Collide Saturday show? That's something that they've announced. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, as an AEW fan, I like it. They have a lot of guys who haven't been being used. I mean, I think they used Miro on the show the other night to help, promote that or whatever. But I think guys like him, Andrade, some of those guys, obviously, if Punk is back in the mix or not, who really knows what that? I believe he's going to be, and this is all just kind of more of the same, thing they've been going through. But I think having options, having places for those guys to be is good. Rampage is I mean, it's another hour for them, right? But it's bad, and they haven't utilized it maybe the way they should have. But I think it's a great thing. They've got the talent to do it, I think.
I'm worried, very, very, very worried about this third show. I mean, there was a point where, going back a couple of years where AEW Dark and Elevation were actually fun to watch. They had some storylines kind of just on that. And then I guess with the focus on Rampage, you could kind of see Dark just basically being, jobber matches and squash matches with very little. I mean, they had a little bit. You saw the Matt Hardy, storyline with Ethan Page kind of happen that was about it. And I bet that was more Matt Hardy driven. Like, I want to do a story. Here's what we're going to do. And Tony Khan was probably like, yeah. But if you remember the whole, when Acclaimed got in trouble for the battle rap with Julia Hart, he said he's going to make sure that AEW Dark, he's going to be, doing every little bit of it. And as you mentioned, Jeremy, Rampage isn't, that great as of these days. And now we're going to add another 2 hours. I'm really worried about storylines and how they're going to make it entertaining for 5 hours for the storylines. I think they've diluted the product too much unless they do some sort of brand split, which is, again, kind of a WWE knockoff at that point.
I just think, and you're right, and don't get me wrong, the hour has not been used the right way, and I don't think it's because they don't have the people to do it and the storyline time to do it. I mean, 120 minutes for some of the stories, they put a lot into their stories. I mean, I think that's one thing we can all agree about them that we kind of like is that they seem to build a little bit more than what Vince and Tripp are doing. But I think that, I don't know. I mean, you're right. They have diluted it at this point. I think 2 hours, it's going to be very key what they do early. Are they going to utilize those guys like Miro, and if it's Punk back or whoever, a guy like Sammy Guevara, who now is in this pillar deal, right? But before that, even if you watched All Access, and some of you may have or some of you may haven't, he was even frustrated with his lack of usage. So I think that if they will book it right and they will do it right, I think it could be a good thing. But you're right. If they use it like Rampage, it could be a disaster.
I think it's a good idea on paper. My problem is Tony Khan needs to hire a writing team. He needs to stop trying to be creative for everything. He's creative for Dynamite, for Rampage. Now it's going to be for Collision. He's stretching himself too thin. It's just not. That's where I'm worried about, Matt. The same thing you're worried about, like the over dilution of the product. Like I think it could be a good show. I think if they do a brand split, kind of like Raw and SmackDown do, have your Dynamite roster and your Collision roster, it gets the Miros, the Andrades, the Thunder Roses. It gets them on TV. That's great. How are you going to use them on TV? Is it going to be something I can sink my teeth into, or are they just going to be going out there and doing random matches? I don't know how much y'all have read in about this CM Punk stuff with AEW, but one of the reports I heard was CM Punk, this is going to be his show. Collision's going to be his show because apparently he can't work with the Elite or some vice versa. Either way, if that's why you're doing a brand split, that's dumb. Let's work together. Let's be grown. Let's make some money. But I do on the premise of the idea of having another show, it being the SmackDown to WWE's Raw, or Collision being that to Dynamite. I'm okay with that. I'm cautiously optimistic because I don't know how Tony Khan's going to make this work, but I'm optimistic cautiously.
And I know it's hard, but I wish they could spread their week out more. I mean, because it's all gonna be that back half of the week. But I know like they don't want to compete with Raw and whatever. But now you're gonna have this other show. Now it's gonna be on the same night as a premium live event from WWE, once a month. So that'll be kind of interesting to see how that works out. But I just wish they'd spread their week out a little bit more.
Yeah, my thinking on this, guys, and y'all hit all good points. I think, and we're all in agreement, if they make the storylines good and the build's good, we like this because we like AEW, what they're doing. But if it's more of just, more matches just to have matches, which I think, I feel like I don't watch Rampage a whole lot, but I feel like that's what Rampage is. It's not as much storytelling. It's just there's good matches on there, but they don't mean anything. So if they do the same thing with Collision, then it's going to be another Rampage. And it's going to be like, oh, let's just watch Dynamite and then forget the rest of the week of AEW. And
but
so
the thing with Rampage, at least it's just 1 hour, so it's just like, hey, it's 3 good matches, and you're gonna get, and you didn't waste much time, whether it's good or bad, because it's just an hour and it's quick action. I mean, like because they start in the ring, so it's like right when it starts, you're getting a good match. It's going to be a good match to start and a pretty good match at the end, and then a kind of filler match in the middle. But it's just a quick hour. But if you're doing a 2 hours like that, then it could get a little sketchy.
Well, that's the issue I have with Rampage. One, my issue with Rampage is it's taped. It's not live. So you got spoilers that come out majority of the time.
Yeah.
It's taped and not live. I think you need to have it live so you don't have spoilers come out. And it has the other thing I don't like about Rampage is, and I know Excalibur says it or JR says it, the fastest hour in pro wrestling. Nothing is given time to breathe on Rampage. It's one thing into the next, one thing into the next. Like when the match finishes, let me see the guys celebrate. And then let's maybe do a backstage segment or a vignette or something before we go into the next match. But it's just rapid fire. And I don't like
it. Yeah, they run down to the ring. They run down to the ring, I think.
Well,
it's just so fast, I don't like it.
I was behind a little bit. So I was watching one yesterday, and like Julia Hart was like on the ramp celebrating her win. And Orange Cassidy's already coming out like this music. And he like crosses her to his music, and she's doing her dark face to Orange Cassidy's music. And it's kind of weird.
And the funny thing is, it's taped. They could edit that out better. Like they don't even have to. You've been there. They rush it in person, right? I mean, like so. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, that's what I say. I went to like the last one we went to. It was a taped Rampage, but the one Matt and I was at last May, it was a live Rampage, and then they taped Battle of the Belts after, so it was a little different. But yeah, so we actually saw a live Rampage, and that was a really good Rampage because it was like. The one match was Adam Cole against Hangman, and and so when they do a live Rampage, they give you really good product, but they don't do it like you said. They don't do it often. Most time it's taped.
But really, when's the last time we've added something to the wrestling landscape that's a second or a third or a fourth thing and it's worked? I mean, you think of WCW and them adding Thunder dilution of product. SmackDown, even to a certain extent, I mean, they had to split the brands to get that to work because that was too much when it was all one brand. Because the storylines were invested in. That's what we want to see, and so having that on Monday and having that on Thursday or Friday or whatever day SmackDown was on at any given point just did not work. And I'm worried this is going to be the same thing, that you're going to have some sort of brand split. KO, you mentioned how immature that is and how we're just going to be watching this knowing kind of that back all access thing with that. And it's just going to be, I think, going to be chaotic. I think it could end up, I know they're going to get a big paycheck out of it, but I just think it's going to end up being bad for the wrestling fans.
And you talk about that, what it could be. Another rumor before we go on to the next segment, the Max deal. Could this be where there are premium live events for you guys that are, would have to pay for those kind of things? I have my own way of watching it. But is that where we're going, do you think, where Max takes the AEW premium live events and puts them on their platform now? So you have to just subscribe, kind of like a Peacock type format. Do you think that's where it's going?
It'd be smart on their part. I mean, that's the future. Get as much of these things. You're seeing all these niche things. Paramount Plus has League of Soccer or whatever random thing, and they just keep putting different things on the different packages. So this would create a value added element because there are rabid fans who want to see this, and in their head they're going to be saving money. I mean, I don't know how the WWE has mentally justified the gymnastics of they used to get $50 a pay-per-view and now $5.99 you can get Peacock. I mean, they're taking a financial hit. So, but it probably creates value for the Peacock brand, and that's why they do it. And I assume Max has the same theory as far as that goes.
Could you imagine paying $50 for a WWE pay-per-view now, though?
I would.
I'll tell you this much: I wouldn't pay $50 for Night of Champions coming up this weekend.
Would you pay? Would you pay $5 alone? Would it be enough to get you to get Peacock alone?
If I didn't already have it,
right? That's what I'm saying. Would you?
No.
Would you go out and get? Absolutely.
No.
So to me, that the economics there, they were not going to get $50. I mean, the way that even Bret just mentioned it, between me and him, we can watch any pay-per-view in the world, and I'm not paying a dime. Well, I'm paying for it, but not to them, right? So it's they know that was going to happen. Peacock, yes, they're losing money, but they were going to lose even more money when people started streaming those things for free, right? So might as well get the deal they have with Peacock now. I get it, and so that's just simple what's going on and everything. I mean, that's any kind of football league, baseball league, basketball league, that's happening. People are getting access to it in different ways now. And you're going to lose money if you don't change. And so that's probably the future. That they need to do it. They might as well get a little bit out of it while they can.
Do we think they add some extra events with this? Instead of they had like their 4 or 5 a year with these little other specials. Do we think they maybe sprinkle in some more premium events with that deal?
I hope not.
Yeah, I hope not either. That was my initial thought.
I think that the reason why we enjoy those events so much, they build as well as they do, is because there's not something every month, right? Like WrestleMania ends, you got 3 weeks to build a Backlash. That's how you get Bad Bunny and Damian Priest, and then you got to turn around and go again, and that's how we get a Rush Lesnar versus Cody thing. I mean, so I appreciate what they do. We're gonna see them rush through this summer more than we have on anything when they go this weekend with Double or Nothing, and then they're gonna have the 2 shows this summer with Wembley and the other one. So they're gonna be pretty quicker than normal this summer. I'm interested to see how they pull that off, but I don't think they need to add more. But they're treating Wembley like it's a pay-per-view type event, obviously.
But if like this one was like a few weeks, like the main event, like when it was announced, if it was like happening 3 weeks from when it was announced, be like, oh, it's good. Wrestlers will be fun to watch. But now they've had time to build a story, and now you got some emotional investment in why these 4 guys are facing each other. At first, it's like, oh, it's going to be a fun match, bunch of spots and everything. But now they've been able to build a story towards it. That whole card's got a bunch of cool stories with it now.
And that's why I trust them. That's why the 2-hour thing, I'm a little more optimistic probably than some people are, because I just trust what they've done and how they do it. That if anybody can pull it off, I read this week or last week one, it's just a sign of maturity for them. That's happened a lot faster than we thought that they were going to get that extra 2 hours. 5 hours of TV is a long time for a company that hadn't been around relatively long compared to most. So I trust them. I've said this to these guys before. I trust what AEW does, and kind of so far they've earned that trust from me, and they haven't blown it. So, but it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out with the 2 hours and the max and all that kind of stuff. And Tony, if he can play it right, but Kayla's right, he's got to get some help. We saw on All Access, if you saw it, he had basically a 11 by 18 sheet of paper that he had handwritten everybody's path on for the next few months. I'm like, dude, it's 2023, by the way. Use a computer or something. But you're right, he needs help.
Come on.
Business-wise, the dude knows what he's doing, but he's going to get himself in a bind if he doesn't get help on the wrestling side.
But KO, don't we get aren't we getting burned out on wrestling at this point? I mean, you're thinking of 5 hours of WWE, and that's not including NXT. We're gonna have 5 hours of AEW, not including Ring of Honor, and they already had to kill Dark and Dark Elevation with that. Plus the premium live events. For me, I love wrestling, and it's getting too much of a time commitment at this point.
Well, I mean, yes, I agree. But at the same time, if I'm watching compelling television, then I'll sit and I'll watch. It's like a favorite TV show that you binge watch on Netflix or something. Like if it's compelling, I'll sit there and watch it all day. But if it's just, for example, like Monday Night Raw, if it's one of those, then I'll just skip through it. Like then it's not consuming too much time because I'm just skipping through it.
Hey, how long did Raw go before there was an actual match? Did you actually know?
It wasn't. It wasn't.
It was a pretty long time.
It was probably 15, 20 minutes. It wasn't too bad.
Was he still watching when they got to a match? Is the question.
Yeah, because the first match was Ricochet and Matt's favorite Bronson Reed.
I just noticed that's part of it. Like Raw, I know we talked about it one week. There was only 30 minutes of wrestling, but there's so much time, but they don't use it for actual matches and building up people. It's like entrance. Cody had how many entrances did Cody have? 3 entrances? I don't know.
None. He didn't have any. He actually didn't have any because he got beat up at the start of the show by Brock. Then he came out when Brock called him out to no music.
It felt like he did. I don't know. He was in the whole show.
He was on TV a lot, but he never had one. We never got to go, whoa! We didn't get to do that.
Yeah, you were waiting on
it. Yeah, you did. You did.
I did it, but the crowd didn't get to do it. That crowd, by the way, in Hershey, Pennsylvania, garbage. They didn't pop for nothing, which I can't blame them because the show.
But you know what they did do? They booed Dominic Mysterio.
Yes, well, yes, they can do that. Yes,
he's got one of the biggest heel heats that I've heard in a long time. It's kind of. I mean, I would never have believed it if you'd have told me that a year ago. But he's actually like his character wise, his ring work still needs work, but his character is. I mean, him and Rhea, it's one of the better things that they've done.
That says a lot, by the way.
I know.
I'm not a Dom fan, in case you haven't noticed. I'm not a Dom fan, but for him to be the guy that's getting the heat is.
But you have to admit his character, though. His character,
absolutely.
Heel wise, it's pretty up there.
Okay. Right. Putting him with the Judgment Day was perfect. I mean, it worked. Anyway, that's a whole other story. But they did it right.
So let's talk Night of Champions first. Since it is the first event, it's going to be Saturday afternoon. I'll be doing some baseball on Saturday afternoon, so I probably won't catch this live. So I'll watch it later, and I may or may not skip through some of it.
Don't look at my Twitter.
Mute me. You're supposed to, okay. Well, I'll be doing the game with Keith. We'll be in White House, Texas, doing a baseball action. So I probably won't be on Twitter anyway. We'll be entertaining the masses for that one. But let's look at the card. What as far as for you guys, what sticks out to you is what you're looking forward to the most in this pay-per-view? You got to have something. Kyle's shaking his head, but nothing.
I honestly, I mean, I don't know. Nothing really. I mean, nothing really sticks out that's just gripping that I just can't wait for. I mean, other than I guess the whole bloodline thing with Roman and Solo, just because I'm curious to see how the Usos screw it up. Now, they're not going to intentionally screw it up, but they will screw it up to where Solo gets pinned because Roman's not going to take the pin. So Solo will get pinned and KO and Sammy will retain. But I'm interested in the story around the match, not the match so much itself, just the story involving it. Yeah.
Okay.
I am looking forward to Seth and AJ. I mean, I think that's going to be a hell of a match, and for a title like that, I think that,
I forgot about that one.
You know, they haven't been able to, you know, because it was tournaments, they haven't been able to build a story from it. But just that's going to be a hell of a match, and it's for.
Did y'all see Did y'all see the footage they showed of? Was it like 2009 or something? Where the last time they fought, like it was AJ kind of put Seth over, basically saying he's the future. You know, he was like 19, I think Seth was at the time. I thought that was interesting. That that's the only time they haven't really fought since he's been on Raw, or since AJ came over. So I think that's interesting to me that they're both very good at making an exciting match. So I think the match wise, there's no build, but the match itself could steal the show for the night.
I would say there was a little bit of build. I mean, we had a 4-part series with Corey Graves interviewing Seth Rollins that kind of built up to it. We had vignettes of Seth and AJ, or of both of them. But here's the thing. Here's why there hadn't been build. They're on separate brands. So I do respect WWE for at least honoring the brand split, not have them showing up on both sides, on both shows. They kept them separate.
Which show's Paul Heyman on, Kyle?
He's on SmackDown. So why was he on Raw last night to just promote the pay-per-view? Yeah. No idea. Could have done that on Friday.
He was there last week, too. Remember last week? Last week he came in during the pre-match.
He's got the special pass on his card. He's got the wild card. He can roam between shows. I don't know. I just had to ask you.
I'll say this. I think that Rollins and Styles could put on the best match. I think the bad part is I think we already know who's going to win, right? I mean, I feel like I do, and you guys can shoot a hole in this all we want to, but this title was announced to be so that whatever brand Roman was not on has a championship, right? So you look at that and you say, okay, whoever wins is going to be on Raw. Well, they don't move the OC to SmackDown to have Styles win a championship and move him to Raw, is my opinion. I just and
you missed our argument last week, Jeremy. You missed it because we talked about that. Why have a belt tournament for a Raw belt and then include SmackDown people?
Yeah, I don't know.
No sense.
It made no sense, and I don't want to get into that again. But no, seriously, it makes no sense to me. And so to me, the matches are decided. Plus, I think Seth is. We've always been talking a lot since I wasn't here last week, but before that, we talked about who's the next guy for Roman, like who can really challenge him next. And it's not Cody; it's going to be Seth, right? Like he's the guy that the people want to see now against him. But I just think the matches are decided. The other thing I'll say about the Sami KO and Roman solo matches, I remember sitting here at WrestleMania and we thought there is no way that Cody doesn't win. There's no way that this whole storyline doesn't blow up into Cody winning. And while it doesn't have the build, there's enough doubt in my mind somehow that they could put the belts on Roman and Solo. There's just enough of that in me with the way think about it, the way they book things is there not at least a small part of you that says they may put the belts on? Like they could do that.
They could. It would be very Vince McMahon-esque to do that. But I don't think it's going to happen only because we've seen so much dissension in the bloodline. If they were still as strong as they were at Mania, then I would be totally on board with you. But with so much dissension in the bloodline right now, I think the bloodline is starting to split at the seams, and I think that it's only going to propel that.
No,
so
I agree
let me throw this out then. Let me throw this out, Jay, real quick. So say they do put the belts on Solo and Roman, then the Usos take it from them.
Right.
I mean, that would be a pretty good storyline. I mean, you.
Otherwise, how long are we going to let Sami and KO go with the bloodline? I mean, they've even made mention of it in their conversations backstage on camera, whatever, about we're moving on. Is that a way to move on? Listen, I don't think it's going to happen. I think that Sami and KO win, and that's how they move on. But I'm telling you, after WrestleMania and what they did with Cody and Roman, there's still a part of me that thinks, well, crap, Vince is back in charge. He's great doing dumb stuff. They might have Russo and Bischoff back there for all we know, but I don't know. There's just a part of me that thinks that it's possible. So I think that will be be interesting, like KO said, what they do around it. And I'm invested still in Cody and Brock. I mean, they've done such a great job of making us all be invested in what Cody is going through or whatever, to where I still want to know what happens, even though who knows? I mean, I don't know what they're going to do, but
he's got a broken arm now. How's he going to fight? Another way to put him that much. He's got that much underdog now. We got to,
Well, actually, about 30 minutes before we came on, I was scrolling through social media and saw that I guess Bully Ray and on Busted Open, LaGreca, I guess today we're talking about this, and that there almost seems to be a little bit of last night where you saw Triple H and Cody interact in a way that where Cody might even think now that Triple H is going to screw him, and there's still some bad blood between everything that happened. And so I don't know, but the ultimate underdog, one arm now against the Beast, and how long is Lesnar going to be around? I don't know. But
I have a question. Do we still? It's been how long since Brock attacked Cody right after WrestleMania? Right.
We still don't know why. We still don't know.
Yeah. Why? Why is he attacking him? You've gone 6 or 7 weeks.
I
maybe.
know who
don't
knows
know
the
why.
answer. I know who knows the answer. Matt knows the answer to that. Matt, why did he attack him?
That's a great question, and I don't. You gave me too much credit as far as that goes. But Jereme was like giving us the psychology concept of reasonable doubt. And he was talking about how we have a little bit of reasonable doubt with the Bloodline and KO Sammy match because of what happened there. And I think now we have reasonable doubt with the Brock and the Cody match, because you could see a storyline where Triple H has to stop the match, and they get Brock a win, and without making Cody look bad. And now we have a third match, maybe at SummerSlam after he takes a little bit of time off or something. We got to have our trilogies, but we have that reasonable doubt. And of at least we have 2 matches, 2 of the 3 main events, I think we could all sit here and make reasonable arguments for it goes this way, it goes this way. I think I agree with you, Jereme, that we're going to probably see the Seth Rollins, reign of championship. The other 3 matches, don't really care about at all. I don't think they did anything for the 2 women's matches, or Gunther versus Ali, or whatever the other title matches there. But we have 2 main event storylines where we don't know what's really going to happen. So at the top of the card, I think you have a very solid card right there.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Jeremy and Matt, while I agree with y'all about Seth winning, there has been reports the last couple of days that he's about to miss time to do the Captain America movie. So I don't know how much time and if that would affect his title reign, but it gives a little bit of doubt maybe, but he is going to miss time. So it'd be weird they put a belt on him, but I do think Seth wins, but that it leaves a little bit of cliffhanger. I mean, if there's just a smidgen.
Well, and you got the women's belts. They've yet to hand them across the pond. We thought they were going to hand them over. You still got the SmackDown Women's Champion on Raw and the Raw Champion on SmackDown. So who knows? Maybe the
don't forget we still have the NXT tag titles on SmackDown as well. The women's tag titles from NXT.
So who knows these days? I mean,
we don't have women's tag titles.
Yeah, they don't have a champion for the other one. So who knows what they're going to do? I mean, honestly, at this point, it's WWE. There's no logic to most of the things that they do.
And that goes back to what Matt said last week. I did see this clip of Matt talking about the logic behind the draft was so terrible to have all those things be a part of it. Like, those are things they should have taken into account. And instead, we just got like I use a random wheel generator in class sometimes to pick groups. And that's kind of what happened. They just click the wheel 3 times and let's see who we can get. I mean, that's, that all goes back to that. That's, you say, are we surprised? No, we're not surprised, because it's WWE, and we've been talking for however many months now that it's a terrible product right now in terms of how they're running it. I mean, we're still getting great things. Imagine if they had some people that use some common sense in what we'd be getting out of the top. But Matt's right. The top of the card's great. I mean, those 3 matches to me are going to be awesome, but the rest of it, you can just fast forward through. It's almost like it'd be Omos for KO. He could just leave and go to the bathroom.
That's the only person we're missing on this pay-per-view is Omos.
He may show up. You never know.
I think they just added him, Kyle.
Yeah, the Great Khali versus Omos has been added.
I think Omos is going to win Money in the Bank this year, just for
Stop
KO.
it.
And speaking of people who did not make the card, Bronson Reed did not get a match on the card. Sorry about that.
Wow.
That's all right.
But Mustafa Ali made the card. Positive Ali.
We all know why that happened. Pay-per-views in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say.
I was wondering if Jinder Mahal and his 2 guys were going to make the card.
Jinder Mahal.
Can they show up? They could show up and tear something up. Who knows?
They'll be on the pre-show probably.
It's gonna be them against the Hurt Business. Omos, Shelton Benjamin, and Cedric against Indashir in the pre-show.
Do they still have pre-show matches? You made Kyle leave.
No.
They still have pre-show
No,
matches.
It's just Sam Roberts talking, and
Okay, I don't. Ever
AEW does the pre-show matches. Well,
AEW's pre-show matches actually are entertaining.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
So okay, so let's talk about the matches, and we'll go down and make our picks here. So we kind of breezed over most of them, but we can talk in depth about the specific reasons why you want to make your picks. First match, I don't know, of the women's matches. There's half of the, and this is funny. Saudi Arabia, when they first started doing the pay-per-views, they hardly even had women on. with the whole women issue over there. They've got 3 matches that are women's matches on this pay-per-view. I mean, that says a lot of things that have changed. And you have Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, which we never thought that they would be in a pay-per-view over there. And so, that just shows signs of the time things have changed a little bit in the last few years. Probably my favorite match of the 3 women's matches is a non-title match, just a Trish versus Becky, just because they build that one up. They've got some build behind it. The other ones, to me, they threw Natalya in. Asuka's good, but there's not really a storyline there much. I think Becky's going to win, but I think this is one of those matches that I'm excited to see just because is it Trish versus Becky? What kind of match can they put on? Because you hadn't seen a whole lot of full match out of Trish in a long time. She's in the tag match. But the little back and forth between them on Monday Night Raw was one of my favorite segments, honestly. It was a really good back and forth between the 2. I'm going to go with Becky Lynch to win, but I'm actually looking forward to this particular match of all the undercards.
You talking about their exchange last night on Raw?
Yeah, Monday night.
Where Trish looks like she can't read a script, where Trish is stumbling and bumbling all through there and unsure. Bret, absolutely not.
It was funny, though, man, because Becky Lynch sat there, and then she just trashed her.
With her ridiculous glasses?
Oh, that was her hand. Did you notice that was her hands?
Yeah, I know, with ridiculous glasses. Like I said, listen, this feud between Trish and Becky, one of the worst things on WWE television. Trish should have stayed gone. She should have never came back. Trish, I don't know why she with her cutting a promo makes me want to vomit. It is terrible when she cuts a promo. I don't care to see her in the ring. Gorgeous woman. I don't care to see her perform in the ring. Could not care less about it. I hope this match is quick and painless. Becky should win easily. And hopefully we're done with this feud forever. Thank you, Trish.
I think you said it all, honestly.
Wow, man. Just hammered me.
I'm going to pull Jeremy's roll out, and I'm going to put the leash on KO and disagree with him as far as and I'm going to agree with Bret. I think that the Trish and Becky exchange was probably one of the best parts of Raw. On the whole, I mean, Becky shot on her in a way that we haven't seen in a while, like bark like a dog. I mean, she was tearing her up.
Woof woof. If that's what we're calling the best woof woof. We have Becky Lynch out here with hands on her eyes going woof woof into a microphone on national TV, and that's the best segment, y'all think?
Completely shooting on her in a way that was degrading her and saying, you think we should be rewarding you, yet you were on TV 15 years ago barking like a dog. You are nothing. We are the real innovators of the women's revolution. I appreciate that you got it from brawl and panties to a 10-minute match. We've taken it to where we're respected at this point, and I'm not. You don't see me coming on here barking like a dog on TV. I wrestle. I'm a wrestler, and that's their storyline. You've got the old school against. I'm interested, like Bret is. I mean, you're just an idiot at this point. I guess you want to see Bronson Reed and Rhino in a best of big man, metaphorical series or something of who can spear the best over a 10-minute match. But that's exactly what you're getting here. 2 distinct generations stepping up and having a match that even though I think I agree with you that Becky is going to win it, I'm interested in it. I'm also interested in how they're going to dress Trish up given the Saudi Arabia thing. So there's all kinds of interesting storylines with this as well. And you need to be entertained more if you don't think that interview was a thing. And just the whole, even how she had to flip the table out and you're expecting a fight and she was just like, you pissed me off. I'm out of here kind of a thing. It was a beautifully done segment.
So what we've learned here is, KO, we can't be on a show with a guy named the Professor because he makes us look really bad. So, here's the thing about it is this pains me to say I'm more KO in this situation than I am, Bret and Matt. But I will say this, that what you're saying, Matt, about the generational thing, and there is a little bit of intrigue there. However, I don't think the match can be very good, honestly, but I think Becky will win. I think Becky should win. But just, I don't know. Trish was not paid, KO, by the way, to show up there and look like she can read off of a script or a teleprompter, by the way. She was there to look like other things, and she did that for a long time.
I understand.
But I don't know. I'm more on your side in that deal. I don't think it's going to be a great match, and hopefully it won't be very long. I don't think it can be very long. I don't think Trish can go very long. We'll see, but I think Becky will win.
I don't have much to say on the match, but I'll go ahead and pick Becky's going to win. And I don't have. I think Kyle and Matt added enough there to. That was good enough but Becky will win.
See, Jeremy, you just went off on me like you're disagreeing with me. I didn't say anything about the match quality. I agree with both of you. It's not going to be a great match. Trish was never, a 5-star match creator. I'm just interested. I think they've made a story. I think
the build was good. That's what I said. I said that this match has been built better than the other two women's matches. That's all I said. That's what I'm looking forward to. I enjoyed the segment on Raw. I thought it was hilarious. It's different, and I just like Becky Lynch just made her look really dumb, and I think that's part of the deal. She's the face. She made the heel look dumb, and it was legit stuff. Like she called her out on some stuff. I thought it was good build. So I think we see. I didn't think it was going to be now. Becky Lynch can make people look good, so it'll be interesting to see how the match goes. But I'm not expecting anything out of it.
Do y'all think we see Lita? Or not yet? Because she's going to come back eventually since Trish took her out.
Well, is that going to be a Trish Lita SummerSlam type match? Is that what we're looking at?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I hope not.
Kyle he's younger. He wasn't alive for the old school.
Look, I've seen all the old school wrestling with these women. Here's the thing: it's 2023. I don't need Trish and Lita wrestling on my TV anymore. Like, if they want to show up to promote something, great, but I don't need them in the ring.
Okay, Kyle, Trish versus Lita or Omos versus Ali at SummerSlam?
Oh God. If I had to choose,
it's called checkmate, KO. I think
no. If I had to choose, I would rather see Omos and Ali simply because.
No way.
Can I finish? At least Ali can move in the ring. Ali's athletic. Trish and Lita look like they're moving in quicksand right now. So I would at least there's some action there.
Move on. Clip that, by the way, in case it ever happens. Clip it.
All right, so we've all made our pick. Everybody went with Becky Lynch. I think that's the obvious pick here. Why would you put Trish over at this point? They're trying to build Becky. All right, next match is going to be Rhea Ripley versus Natalya. And I'm not a mind reader, but I'm predicting the clean sweep again on this one. I'm not sure what the build is other than Natalya they just seem to stick her in there when people are bullies. There hasn't been a whole lot of just build here. And I'm going with Rhea Ripley. There's not much more to say about this match. I think the match itself, Natalya is good in the ring. I think the match itself will probably be okay, but why do I care about this match? Does anybody
Hasn't Natalya had the most Saudi matches for women?
I think she was in the first. Like she was in the first one, wasn't she?
Yeah. So I feel like she just wants to go over there. I bet that, and they're like, hey, let's throw her in there and give her a title shot again, just to give Rhea something to do. But
I don't know.
Nah,
I don't really care.
I
couldn't agree with me here.
I couldn't care less about this match either. I think the build was Rhea did something. I forget who it was to, and Natty ran to the ring and confronted her. Like that was it. So that's what she does every time.
That's what she does every time, Kyle.
Yeah.
Like I think Natalia's like the savior of everybody. Someone gets beat in the ring, she runs out, then she gets herself into the match.
And then she loses in the match that she's protecting the person. So I don't care about this match. Rhea wins in 5 minutes.
Ooh, I hope it's only 5 minutes because I feel about this one way more like you do about Becky and Trish. Natalya to me, I know that she's a name and a family name, and people over there that don't get to see WWE in person a lot probably want to see her. She has been in all of them, I believe, in some form or fashion. I just don't understand how she is ever involved in any kind of title picture at all. And Rhea now has gotten her and Vega in back-to-back title defenses, by the way. Vega, much more worthy, in my opinion, than Natalya. And you can talk about her history or whatever, but right now, 2023, she's less relevant to me. And she's still wearing that stupid thing on her head. I don't even know what's going on there with that. Looks like she's baking a cake or something in a bakery, but I can't deal with it. I can't deal with her. She's my Omas, KO. She's my Omas.
Wow, that's strong words from Jeremy.
I just can't deal with it, man.
I like it, Jeremy. I like it.
Yeah, there you go. I figured you would. I figured you'd like it.
I agree with Jeremy as far as I wish KO would have shared his disdain for this match. But I feel like part of the big picture of this is that Mommy is really kind of getting that Becky Lynch, after she had her broken nose kind of. I mean, did you hear them pop for her on Monday night? I mean, she is over. I mean, she's a heel and is over. She's starting to get that stone cold Becky Lynch, kind of that natural momentum. And, I don't know if they know what to do with her because she's clearly in a heel faction and the fans just love her. And she is looking dominant and one of the more entertaining parts of it. Obviously, the match is crap. We have no build. But I think a fascinating part of the Rhea Ripley character is what is creative going to do with her because she's on fire right now.
She's outgrown the Judgment Day, I believe.
Yeah.
I mean, I think at this point, without her, is the Judgment Day anything without her at this point?
Her and Dom.
I mean, there's something. I mean, I think she's definitely helped improve the group, but I think everybody has been improved by all of them working together.
Saying, if you take her out right now, do you care about the rest of the Judgment Day? Right now?
I like Finn Balor and Damian Priest.
Yeah, I think it's a situation where they all could go out on their own and be fine at this point. I mean, I think it's elevated.
They're definitely better together, though.
Well, it just because it brings that extra whatever to it because they're already together. But I think Damian has proven he can go out on his own now, and I think you could put Rhea on her own with Dom and Dom on his own even.
I've heard rumors
for himself.
I've heard rumors that they're going to be adding some new members. I don't know if that's legit, but
JD McDonough.
That's the one I heard. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So that will be interesting to see if they can use the group to put some new up and coming talent over. I think that's great. But they've kind of, with who they have now, I feel like they've kind of done a lot of they've done everything. They've done the Mysterio. They've done Edge. They've gone after, now they kind of played to get with the OC. That would have been a cool one if they could do something with it, but I don't know. We'll see what they do with them. But I heard, did you take Rhea? I assume you took Rhea there.
I'm taking Rhea. I don't know if Brandon's officially told us Rhea yet, but I want to hear it from his beautiful face.
Yeah, Rhea. A couple minutes and a riptide, and it's over.
So yeah, it's the over under on 3 minutes on this match.
I think it'll be over. I think I'll say about 4:11.
That's very specific, Brandon. That's very specific.
Yeah.
Has he seen the run sheet already?
He wrote it.
He wrote
That's the thing. We're dogging the writers at WWE, and it's really Brandon. It's who it is.
Oh no! If I wrote it, we'd be scrapping the card today and starting over.
If we get me versus KO, that would be the match we'd want to see in a ladder match. Yeah.
Which KO?
Well, this KO. I don't like my chances with the other one.
You don't
want Uncle Kevin?
No, I should pass.
That's my uncle, man. I got some of the same talent he does.
You got similar facial hair.
That's what I'm working on.
Me and this KO versus Omos and Ali. Now we could do that.
We could win. We would win easily.
Oh,
I don't know about easily, but
I mean, I know y'all dogging him, but he's a pretty big dude.
if Brandon's doing the writing, we better win. By the way, Brandon.
That's right. That's right.
All right, so another clean sweep there. Let's go to the next match. Bianca Belair versus Asuka. Guys, they haven't done a whole lot. I mean, Asuka, yes, they've been building her a lot, but this feud has just been kind of Asuka coming out and spitting in her face. Honestly, and with Asuka's limited English, it's hard to do too much with her as far as builders and promos. And for me, is this the time they take the belt off of Belair? I mean, it's there. I mean, she's had it now. I think they said with 400 something days. I think she's coming up on the record of title reign. So this is tough for me here. I'm gonna stick with Belair, but I don't think it would surprise me if Asuka won either. I think it could go either way here in this match.
I'm taking Bianca off the top. We just had this match a few weeks ago. Wasn't it at Mania? We had this exact same match. So I think WWE hurts themselves a lot, but they put themselves into a corner with these Saudi shows because you just had a pay-per-view 3 weeks ago. It's very hard to build towards another pay-per-view in just 3 weeks. And so what we're getting is just recycled feuds. So now Asuka's coming out, spitting in Bianca's face. Is Asuka turned heel? I don't understand what Asuka's doing.
It's the new mist she's trying out too. It's got chili pepper in it, supposedly.
Right. So I do think this will be the best of the 3 matches, women's matches, I should say. I think this will be the best of the 3 women's matches. I'm just not I just don't care. But Bianca wins.
Chili blended, huh? Chili powder. I'm going Bianca too. I think that it's almost. I don't even know, man. I'm just gonna go Bianca. Go ahead, Brandon. It's yours.
I was originally thinking maybe Asuka, but it's gonna be Bianca, and because they faced it Backlash too, didn't they, or just at Mania? Didn't they face it Backlash?
I think it was just Mania.
I can't remember.
I think it was just Mania.
I feel like it, but okay. But yeah, I think Bianca's gonna win.
It was Io Sky at Backlash.
Huh?
Io Sky was at Backlash.
Oh yeah. She faced Io. Yeah. So she's just going through the whole lineage there. So it's back and forth between the 2 Japanese girls. And but I do I think Bianca wins. She had her celebration there in Knoxville, and that didn't do much with it. So, but I think she keeps going, and we'll see who they throw at her at SummerSlam. Probably, I would think she's probably whoever wins Money in the Bank. They'll go after Bianca and not Rhea, I would think. But
hey, let me pose this to y'all. What if we haven't gotten a title swap yet, with both champions being on opposite brands? What if Money in the Bank, we have a unification match, Bianca and Rhea, for one women's title? Huh?
And then we make a new championship and called it the World's Women's Championship and put it on the other brand. There we go.
Have a nice, lovely tournament with that. I'm going to take Bianca, but I would like to give you an AEW storyline, which I think we might be interested in if they had it, because I think we talked about this last time, and I think you've even seen it on TV. Bianca has had it as a face. She's worn out her welcome. The fans are kind of getting tired of her. I've heard teases on some of the dirt sheets that Street Profits and Bianca are kind of slated to turn heel pretty soon. Remember, Julia Hart got misted, and that turned her heel because of that whole whatever, it made her mad, and it took her to a dark place, and she's been as good as she's been on AEW. You got to do something with Bianca because she's getting stale with the crowd. She's done everything. Missed, lose, heel turn could be a storyline that I could see plausible, but I don't see the WWE being that smart. So I'm going to take Bianca to kind of cash it in, but they got to make her heel because she is completely irrelevant at this point. She's done everything she can do as a face.
I've been waiting for that Bianca heel turn. I just don't know when we're going to get it or if we're going to get it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm think it could happen where she loses, but I just don't think that WWE is going to pull the trigger. I think Bianca, it's one of her. She's one of the like faces of the company at this point. It's one of those where they don't pull the trigger because they're such a money maker type thing. I'll actually say that's one of my daughter's favorite wrestlers. She watches with me, Bianca Belair. She loves her; it's her favorite. So I think that's kind of the kids love her type deal, and I think they're unfortunately she'll get stale long before they turn her heel. All right, moving on to the next match. Gunther versus Mustafa Ali. Yeah, I don't care about this match. You've had Mustafa.
Come on, positivity.
You've had Mustafa Ali on TV the last how many months? 2-3 months, just acting like a complete idiot with the positive Ali thing. They hadn't done anything with it besides he goes on and makes some little smart comment to people that are being interviewed. And then all of a sudden he's going against probably one of the hottest up and coming wrestlers in WWE with Gunther. I think we all agree that he's eventually could be one of those that go after the title, whether it be after, the world championship or after, the WWE Universal Champion, whoever that would be at the time when he's ready. But I don't understand this, honestly, guys. This is one of the biggest mismatches. This would be probably the biggest upset in history if Mustafa Ali. I mean, it's pretty big. Now, Jeremy's giving me a funny face. You think of something that's been that'd be a bigger upset?
No, it might be the biggest upset.
I mean if Dolph Ziggler winning the title that time, I mean, that was at Mania.
Well, the hard thing about this match for me is if you want to put him on the show because of where we're at, okay, because we're going, why would you put him in a match that he cannot win? I mean, are we going to get Action Andretti versus Jericho here and he's going to pull off the win? No, I don't think so, right? So why not put him in a different match and give him a chance to have some success? It wasn't like, I mean, they did a great job of Vega, at Backlash, giving her an opportunity to look great in that loss. But none of us would believe that would be the case in this match against a guy who, if I was getting ready to start a company, I'd want Gunther to be one of the guys that I'd want to build around, and you can't make him look weak and even have a tough match with this guy.
At least they'd been building Vega with LWO, and they had some build with her, and there was points in the match I'm like, are they going to pull the trigger on this? I was at least intrigued. I'm not intrigued at all. They're not. There's no way. There's no way they pull the trigger on this. That would be just. I don't even know what this percentage is. 0.00001. I guess there's always a chance, but there's just no way. You just look at these two and you're like, you've got main event, top of the card versus squash match guy. I mean, it's a no-brainer for me, Gunther, all the way.
Yeah, I know they did the brand split, but that it would have made more sense to do Ali versus Theory if you wanted to give Ali a title match because you're not going to put him against Roman. Roman's doing something else, and the other ones, you got it's not settled yet. But why not do Theory and Ali? At least that's believable, and I think they'd put on a pretty good match. And then because that Ali would give you Ali and Theory, that would give you, hey, Ali's got a chance, and Theory does something sneaky and wins. And it puts more heat on Theory. That would have, but this one's going to be brutal, and it's Gunther. It's in a runaway.
Bret, you said that you didn't know why Ali was in this match. Yes, you do. It's the same thing they did with Mansoor. Every time there's a Saudi show.
I was trying to be politically correct, Kyle. I know why. I'm just saying, as far as his character. Not counting where it is, why in this match.
Can you remind me what sports network we're on, Bret?
Yeah, I was about to say, why we gotta be politically correct? We all know why he's out.
I know. This is the Disrespect Sports Network. I get it.
But I am with you. It would have made more sense for them to put him in a nothing match as opposed to putting him in an Intercontinental Championship match where there is Vince McMahon's words, no chance in hell Ali gets a victory over Gunther at Night of Champions. There is absolutely no way. I will say though, Ali can sell like no other. So he's going to make those chops that Gunther has look even more vicious than they really are. So I don't care about the match. I'm not excited for it. But
what'd you say his chances of winning were?
Oh, here we go.
Oh God.
No chance. That's what you got.
It's my fault, Jeremy. I did this.
You did it to us. Yep.
I did it. Yeah.
Brandon had a fantastic idea because Jeremy, you brought up the Action Andretti Jericho match, and as we remember in Garland, that crowd made that match. I mean, it was almost if it wasn't going to happen. When that match was happening, they had to get the little signal that you got to do this because we were into it and we were having it. Now they might be like that for Ali, but there's just no style to where you would have that kind of atmosphere. And if they would have listened to Brandon and maybe got Theory in there, that style, it was believable. But there's nothing believable about this. This is just a trash match, and you're talking about being politically correct, and yet we're going to kill a Saudi kid on Saudi ground here, and that's not going to be a good look as far as that is. So I don't know why we have this match either. This is the horrible booking.
Shocker, by the way.
You talking about the horrible bookings? A shocker, right?
Yeah, I can't
We're
believe it.
4 matches in. We're pumped for this card. So
what's up? To quote the great Jim Carrey, what's all this 1 in a million talk, Brad? Maybe he's got a shot here. I mean, come on.
it's like little.
There's always
Got to beat them once.
Have we looked at see what the Vegas odds on this are, or the Bovada overseas odds?
They don't have it on the board.
Plus,
they don't have it on the board.
Plus
No
90,000.
Yeah, they would be so extended if they offered it. If one person took it, there's no chance they could do it. They wouldn't cover it.
Unless the Alabama baseball coach is involved.
Ouch.
Man.
Oh.
He's going to get Gunther to throw the match.
Oh.
Hey,
He's going to pull Gunther for whatever Da Vinci and.
That's
Oh.
at Brandon O Sports right there.
Golly. Too soon. But it's funny. That's funny, Brandon. But it's too soon, maybe.
All right, so we got the next match. We've got Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa, undisputed WWE Tag Team Champions. Man, this is a tough. I'm gonna go with KO and Sami, but again, I could see WWE pulling the trigger, going with Solo and Roman, leading to a match with the Usos where they're like, those are our tag team championships, and that's where they, they're kind of the split in the bloodline, and they're the ones that dethrone them, and which basically starts to crater the split. They could go that direction or they could go other way, but they could go that way with it. But I'm gonna go with KO and Sami taking the belts and hopefully finding some new opponents. Because I'm getting tired of not getting tired of the bloodline story, but them with the bloodline. I heard someone say that Sami, his reactions aren't the same as they were 2 or 3 months ago. He's still getting good reactions, but it's not the same pop. I think people are starting to get tired of this. The bloodline things kind of run its course with them at least. And maybe they can find them a new opponent. But I'm going to go with KO and Sami Zayn in this one. What y'all think, fellas?
I'm taking KO and Sami to win. Here's the thing, I know y'all are going to kill me for this. I'm using logic here, which I know WWE doesn't do, but I'm using logic here. If I'm correct, y'all can correct me if I'm wrong. KO and Sami never gone to Saudi Arabia for any of these shows, right? So why would you fly them all the way to Saudi Arabia to lose the titles? Why would you give them the titles on WrestleMania after such a build for them to lose it a few weeks later? Like that it doesn't make any sense.
The Saudis don't like them, Kyle. So WWE wants to see them lose, and the Saudis can be happy that they lost.
It's the trade-off. It's the trade-off. We're going to kill Ali, as Matt said. So we're gonna turn around and kill Sami and KO also.
I don't see that happening. I don't see the point in that now. And then you've already creatively ruined the world title picture by putting 2 belts on Romans with no with no plan afterwards. So now we're going to give him 4 belts. So for what? For who? So he can kill the rest of the division too? I just don't think it makes any sense. I do think KO and Sammy win. I think that Roman and Solo look like they're about to win. The Usos come out to try and help Roman and Solo, but end up actually screwing Roman and Solo over, where KO and Sammy pin Solo. Roman's not taking a pin, but I think they lose. And that's how we keep the story with the bloodline going, to see the more dissension in the blood. I don't think the match is the story. I think the storyline is the bloodline and what happens.
Is there a pin, or do the Usos get them disqualified?
I think there's a pin. I don't think they're going to get them disqualified. I think there's a pin.
Then neither Solo or Roman get a pin. I don't know that they want to pin either one of those guys because they're trying to push. They're still trying to push Solo.
But they've pinned Solo. Solo's been pinned by Cody Rhodes. So
just once, though.
Yeah, but if he gets pinned because of nefarious means, then you can. It's not going to be clean. It's not going to be clean.
Yeah, like Jimmy hits him with a belt in the head or
on accident. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm picking KO and Sammy.
KO and Sammy. Keep it simple.
I think Sammy and KO are going to win. I think that the bloodline story that's going to happen, I think you're right, KO, that something's going to happen with the Usos and Roman and Solo. They don't need the belts involved to push that storyline at all. And so what makes sense is to let Sammy and KO win and move on to somebody else. I hate to even say that talking about WWE. As I mentioned at the very beginning, there's enough doubt. Yeah. There's enough doubt in my mind that maybe they pull the trigger on that. But I don't think there's a pin for Roman and Solo. I think it's going to be a DQ situation is what I think. I think that I don't think they want to pin Roman or Solo at this point. Roman for sure is not going to do. I don't think they want to pin Solo. But you're right. I think they have to, like, we talked about this after WrestleMania. This is the unfortunate part, in my opinion, of not wrapping the feud up at WrestleMania. Is now they've let it go maybe a little too long. You mentioned the crowd reactions are a little bit different. You can tell the bloodline story without Sammy and KO involved, and I think maybe they've involved them a little too much since WrestleMania. You could have left it alone, and it would have stood on its own. And everybody would have been happy. But I hate that it's going to end at this show when it could have ended on the biggest stage of all.
I think we're going to go 5 for 5 here. I'm going to take Sammy and KO, but I'm going to give a little bit of alternate perspective and alternate take as far as that goes. I've never gathered from my viewing of WWE or whatever that Roman is too good to take a pin. I mean, I think he's a company guy. He will do what is asked. And I think it's probably more creatively sound for him to take the pin than Solo, because then if the Usos cause him to take a pin, this is his embarrassment. This is his bloodline now being kind of, completely shocked. You hurt me. I have not lost in 3 years, and you coming into my ring and you don't do my plan and you make me lose. That is a beautiful split. So I kind of hope they're going to give Roman the pin and kind of give chance, kind of give back a little bit to KO and Sammy for the Elimination Chamber and Royal Rumble. I think they've deserved that. And I know we were kind of complaining that Cody is kind of owed one from WrestleMania. I think they're owed one as well, and I think they might get it on Night of Champions over Roman.
It's interesting that to listen to all, we all have different takes on how it's going to go. It's going to be interesting. There's just so many ways it can go here, even with just a simple match. Even with KO and Sammy winning, you got the possibility of who's going to get pinned. Is it a DQ? How the Usos is going to be involved. So many, and that's one you can tell good storylines, because we can go look at these other matches and we're like, do we talk about any of that with the other matches? Because there's not really much storyline involved. Like, we think we're pretty sure how it's going to go and who's going to win. And we weren't talking about how it was going to get a pin. Was it going to be a DQ? Any of that. So that just tells you how good this actual storyline has been. And hopefully it will continue a little bit longer, minus Kevin and Sammy for me. So, all right. Moving on to the next match here on my list. Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar. This is the second of the 3 main events. Can you really have 3 main events, guys? I mean, how to what point is the whole card a main event? I mean,
Well, they do that. They do that for UFC. UFC always has 2 or 3 main events. So.
is that why now that we're under UFC, they're
Oh.
going to start taking their little nuances or whatever?
Conspiracy theory time.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you got to think about it. In select baseball last weekend alone, there were 17 World Series in the Metroplex, probably. So why can't you have multiple main events? I just made a whole other group of people mad, by the way, by saying that.
I just found that interesting that, it doesn't. I feel like they've had co-main events before, but have they had 3 main events? I can't remember one that they had said there was going to be 3 main events. So I don't know. Maybe they don't want to make somebody mad. Oh, you're part of the main event. Oh, you're part of the main event. Oh, you're part of the main event. I don't know.
You get a main event. You get a main event. I'm going to go first because I think that I'm going to be the one. I'm going to finally break the mold here. I think it's going to be a screw job, but I think Brock is going to have some sort of win. Well, I don't know it's going to be a pin, but I do think the way this storyline has set itself up with the broken arm or whatever, it may be a Triple H stoppage. It may be referee stopping. It's going to be something, but I think they're going to give Brock the win somehow in this. So I'm going to take Brock in this one.
Let me ask you a question. If hadn't this whole thing, we still don't know why Brock has attacked Cody, but his whole thing has been he wants a fight, right? There's no stipulations in this match, right? It's just a normal one-on-one match. Why don't we have a stipulation like a no DQ or something like that if that's what he's wanting is a fight? Why is there not a stipulation to it? You know what? I hadn't thought about that, Matt, about somebody coming out and stopping the match just because Cody's so torn up. Only reason I would say that wouldn't make any sense is they didn't stop the match at Hell in a Cell when his pec was hanging off. So I don't think they're going to do that now because he's got a quote unquote broken arm. I think somehow, some way Cody wins this. I just don't care about this feud, basically because I don't know why we're having this feud. Why is Brock so mad at Cody? I have no earthly idea. I just don't care about it. Brock doesn't work more than 5 minutes in a match, so it won't last very long. He will spear. He will F5. He'll do a Kimura lock. He'll do he'll do Suplex City 5 or 6 times, and then Cody will win. A disaster kick, Crossroads 3 or 4 times, and Cody wins.
Yeah. I'm agree with Matt. I think Brock wins this one. I think somehow, some way, it's gonna be Brock, and then we'll get a third one, and that's when Cody will win. But I think Brock wins this, and then Cody will get him at either Money in the Bank, probably SummerSlam, and we'll go Brock here to Night Champions for the main event for no title.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think my thinking is why make a big thing about Cody getting injured right before the pay-per-view. They broken arm, they're giving him a legit excuse why he's not going to win. And I think they're going to use this match as the second match of a trilogy. I think Brock wins this one, beats up Cody so bad, he takes a little time off, gets injured, and then comes back healed up, challenges Brock at SummerSlam. He wins and he moves on to something else. So I'm going to go with Brock in this one. I do find it weird though, Kyle. You mentioned the part about it being a fight. I kept waiting to make this match like a street fight or something because they kept saying he was one to fight, but I never heard that stipulation ever mentioned. I thought that's where it was going.
That's what doesn't make any sense to me is this whole. All we've heard from Brock is he wants a fight. He wants a fight. Okay, so we're going to have a normal match because you want to fight? That doesn't – and with everything he did, throwing him into the door last night up against some empty beer cans or kegs, there's – why is it a normal match when he's been attacking Cody with all this stuff and hitting him through the table and stuff? But, yeah. We want to fight. Let's just do a normal one-on-one. There's going to be some kind of tomfoolery in it.
Do we think before the bell rings he attacks one of them attacks the other one, and then we have this big street fight out in the outside, and then they roll in the ring, and then the bell rings.
That's what Cody did last at Backlash when they wrestled. Cody attacked Brock before the bell. So I mean, maybe I don't know. I don't know.
All right, Jeremy, yeah,
I'm going to go with something really bold here. Pay attention, KO. You're going to like this. So maybe, yeah, I appreciate that. So maybe they're a little smarter than we give them credit for, and maybe I know what you're going to leave now. But maybe this is the match they use to prove why this feud's going on. If there is going to be a third match, we've got to have a reason. It can't just be because, right? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, but maybe this is where we see whatever the reason is. Maybe it is that Brock is somehow aligned with Triple H, right? Like maybe there's some kind of thing going on there. Triple H was awfully involved last night at the end and all that kind of stuff. You know, in the world of fantasy sports and PlayStation and all these kind of things where we kind of get to build things the way we want to, I have this weird thing where maybe we talked about this guy coming back at the Rumble or WrestleMania. What if somehow Orton's involved in this thing? Orton could come back here. You have the Orton Rhodes thing. So there's all kind of things, right? But maybe to me, if you guys all think there's going to be a trilogy, which obviously I think there's going to be a third one, maybe this is where they prove, or this is where they bring up what it is. And what that looks like, I don't know. But I would have to say it's Triple H involved in some form or fashion. I think Brock will win the match.
I mean, that's interesting. That's an interesting look at it. I'm with you. They're not going to put something on TV for no reason. So Triple H and Cody at the end of Raw Monday night, there's a reasoning behind it.
Yeah, because we don't see Triple H very often, Kyle.
No, but I also don't think Triple H is going to get involved in anything because of his health. I don't think, because then at that point, Cody's going to want to start fighting Triple H, and Brock's going to be like the protector of Triple H. But I don't think Triple H has any desire to get involved in something like that. That would be my only hesitation. But at this point, who knows? This is probably a Vince McMahon thing anyway. You know, he's creative at a bigger level. He's not in the weeds, so he's creating at a bigger level. So maybe this is a Vince thing. Who knows?
Would be very Vince to have Triple H involved. The only reason why I say that.
Yeah, that's true.
And I don't think he would ever get physically involved again. But you have an authority type group. You have an evolution type group. I mean, so there's all kind of things, right, that you could have involved here.
So you're bringing Ric Flair? Ric Flair's coming out in his wheelchair?
Triple H is the new Ric Flair, right? Okay. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, I mean, you're right. They as much as we talk about the stupid stuff they do, they're not wasting those 3 hours. They didn't. Well, okay, we could argue that all day long. Maybe they are wasting 3 hours, but they're not wasting those few minutes at the close of the show last night with those characters. They're not just blowing that off. There's a reason why they could
have put Adam Pearce there easily, but they didn't. They put Triple H.
Or Teddy Long, Cody, I'd have been happy with that.
Yeah, player. Nobody could get to Cody though. Like he kept pushing away Medical and Adam Pearce. So Triple H is like he's the game, you know. So when he walks up, there's a mutual respect there. Cody doesn't respect Adam Pearce like he respects Triple H.
What if Vince McMahon would have been on that clip?
Oh God. With his mustache now?
Oh,
jeez.
I'm just saying that would have been interesting because he hasn't, with all this him being involved here, he has not been on air. That would have been just like Vince to put himself on in that spot.
It'll be interesting. I was on board of Cody winning until probably 20 minutes ago, just thinking about it. Like I think it's a Brock win, and there's got to be something. I think we're gonna find out the reason why on Saturday why it all went down the way it did.
See, this is what I did, KO, and I tried to give you the opportunity to not look like an idiot, but I mean, you and your Bronson Reed, enigma here. I went first so I could sell the Brock thing, so I could be alone in this. I wanted to be alone in this, and apparently Jeremy's like, 20 minutes. I sold Jeremy, and Bret and Brandon are their own men, but you wanted to be contrarian, and now you're the only one out of us 5 who took Cody.
I'm the only one that's gonna look dumb. I'm gonna be the only one that's right. Come Monday when we talk about this.
So basically, we've got the only person that can win by himself is Kyle, or he can be last again like last time.
Thank you. No, I'm paying attention this time. I'm paying
Oh,
attention.
You are more engaged this time, I will say.
We do have one more match to talk about, though.
Yes, one more. That's true.
Oh, okay.
The main event. Oh, wait. No. One of the main events of three. Seth Rollins, AJ Styles. I've thought about this from both sides myself. I think Seth Rollins he's basically put the company on his back day in and day out when Roman Reigns has been here when he wants to be. And he's been in some stellar matches with Cody Rhodes. Seth Rollins matches are always incredible. He just does a good job in the ring. This match, I think, will be the match of the night. And I think that Seth Rollins wins the first of the new version of the World Heavyweight Championship, because the other one went away when they combined the belts. Now they're going to bring it back. But to me, does it look like the big gold belt with just the big WWE logo on it to anybody else?
Yeah.
I mean, could they not get creative with it a little bit more than that? Or that would be too much?
This is WWE. They don't get creative.
But I love Big Gold was awesome.
I do like it, but it's like they could have, let's just put the big gold belt with the WWE logo stamped right in the middle. I don't know. I wish they'd have done a little bit something different with it, but it looks fine.
I don't know if you've seen the side by side. It looks a lot like the AEW belt. Actually, it's very similar.
Interesting.
I'm taking Seth. I think it's Seth's time. He deserves the championship for, like you said, Bret, for everything that he's been doing. He's been there day in and day out. When
he's
Roman takes his
that music.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's his time to win something, and unfortunately, we can't give him the original titles because Roman's had those wrapped up for 1,000 days. So it's kind of, I don't like that they made a title for Raw because Roman's been holding the titles. I don't like that. But if you're going to give it to somebody, I think you give it to Seth. And like we talked about earlier, it's kind of predictable. Like, you're not going to give a Raw championship to a SmackDown talent, or you shouldn't anyway.
Or will you?
You shouldn't.
I mean,
I'm taking Seth. Yeah, I'm taking Seth. I think it's going to be match of the night, though. I think it's match of the night. I hope this is the final match of the night. But I have a feeling the Bloodline is going to be the final match because Roman's either the first match or the last match. He's never in between. So, but I think it'll be a great match. I got Seth.
I think they're going to lead off with this one. I think they're going to lead it off.
Well, it's one of the main events, though, Jeremy. How can you lead off with the main event?
Well, WrestleMania, we had to lead off with a big one, right? If I'm not mistaken.
You have one main event at the start, one main event in the middle, and one main event at the end.
I guess they could do it that way.
So it's like the semi-main event.
If this isn't the final match of the night, then that means the Roman one is, and that means the Bloodline may combust if they're going to end with that. But I think this is the final match. I mean,
yeah,
and I think Seth wins.
Yeah, Seth's going to win. I don't think it's so much that they wouldn't put the belt on AJ. I think it's the fact they wouldn't have put the OC over on SmackDown. I know it makes sense, and that maybe takes away from this, but I don't think you put the OC over on SmackDown to take Styles and put him back on Raw, unless you're going to let him float back and forth too. Which why not? We've got the SmackDown Women's Champion on Raw and the Raw Women's Champion on SmackDown, and who knows? It's kind of all nefarious, but we'll see what it looks like. But I think Seth wins. He deserves to win. You're right. I don't know that he's carried the company because Roman has still carried it, and I think Cody's even taken a big chunk of it on his back over the last few months. But Seth is one of the guys. He's grown
from somebody. Time.
Well,
he's
right,
the whole time though.
For sure. He's put the hours in, and I think Cale mentioned in the very beginning about he's going to be missing time for filming, but I think he's already been back and forth some for some things already, like in the last few weeks. I think he'll be there.
He could probably miss time for filming and still be there more than Roman Reigns.
True. or Brock.
I mean, Roman's doing these very special things where he's now going to the double taping so he can be on 2 episodes and not only have to go there one night. I'm going to agree for you, Bret. You can mark me down as Team Seth, but I'm going to disagree with KO and a couple of your other
Of course
points.
you are.
I love disagreeing with KO. I want this to be the match of the night, but for whatever reason, AJ has not put on a good match in a while. And I'm nervous you're going to be disappointed, especially in that kind of hollow, big stadium where you're not going to have an England feel or even a Garland kind of a feel. It's just kind of this big stadium. I cannot remember the last time there's been a really good Night of Champions match. I mean, the Saudi Arabia almost always seems to disappoint when it comes to those kind of things. And you've had some big matches on there, like the return of DX and, all kind of, Brock and Roman a couple of times at these big events. And they've just been just lifeless. And I don't think you're going to get an AJ and Seth masterclass. I think you're going to be highly disappointed at the match quality. I think you're going to see Seth win it, but I think you're going to be scratching your head going, you could have watched that on Raw. I mean, you'd much rather see any number of 5-star matches. We're not going to get it here.
And also clip the fact that the crowd in Saudi is not going to be like the crowd at the Colwell Center in Garland, is what he said. I'm not saying he's wrong. It may be bad. But especially it's going to be a letdown coming from Puerto Rico. I thought the crowd of Puerto Rico was amazing, and it's going to be so opposite of that. You're right. That's something we haven't really talked about a lot, but I think that that crowd is one that's going to be different. They're not there for the show. They're there as the social event that it is and what's taking place. And even with I don't think we'll see the heat on some of those guys that we normally would get because of that either. So I think there's a lot. There is a lot to be said about that we haven't even talked about and haven't really thought about either.
All right. Well, that's all the matches. Anybody have any final thoughts before we move over to the AEW pay-per-view?
Yeah, it's kind of like when they play the JV game the day before the varsity game. That's kind of what we're getting, I think, is at least in my opinion. So we can move on. We spent an hour on the JV. Now let's go to the varsity.
We're ready to move on to the main event card. The real main event.
I'm going to set the over-under at about an hour and a half that it'll take me to watch Night of Champions. I think it's going to be a lot of fast-forwarding since I'll be watching it taped, and I don't see it taking more than an hour and a half to finish this one up. And Backlash, like you were talking about, Jeremy, I was involved the whole. I loved it. Just even Selena and Rhea, just because of the crowd. I was in Bad Bunny. I was into that match. It's going to be a lot of flipping through.
I'm just going to follow KO on Twitter the whole time, actually.
That's all you got to do.
I got you.
Well, he may not be reporting during a few of the matches, though. So he may be in the bathroom. Several bathroom break matches.
Yes. Definitely the Trish Becky one. Anyway, moving on. AEW.
All right. AEW Double or Nothing. First off, before we talk about the card, is there anything that you guys have seen with AEW that you're kind of excited about in this pay-per-view on an overall level before we start talking individual matches? For me, there's a couple things. The Elite feud with sorry, I got a fly in my face. The Elite feud with Danielson and the boys. Man, I've enjoyed that a lot, bringing the Elite back together. A lot of twists and turns there. A lot of good storylines. I mean, we hadn't talked about storylines much over the last hour. We're going to talk about a lot of that during this show. And then the other thing that intrigues me is the Adam Cole, Chris Jericho. Just because of Adam Cole, now he's got Roderick Strong back. Will we see another member? We will have a reformation of the Undisputed Era AEW style at some point. And the what we've got there with the JS, that to me is intriguing. Those are a couple things that I'm looking forward to. And you can just tell by what I just said, there's a difference. Like I'm definitely looking forward to the matches, but there's storylines that are actually, I'm invested in these matches, unlike the other pay-per-view where there's only a couple of matches that I'm really invested in. The other ones I'm just going to watch and see if I like them. And I might be doing some with some fast forwarding as well. But what do you guys got on this card as far as what you guys are looking forward to?
Well,
No.
Go ahead, Kale. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm definitely looking forward to the Blackpool Combat Club Elite. I physically, last week when I was watching Dynamite, I physically sat up, like I popped when they said Anarchy in the Arena. I was like, okay, all right. Last time we had Anarchy in the Arena, we had John Moxley's theme song play 3 times while the match was going on. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. It's going to be chaotic. It's going to be bloody. It's going to be messy. It's going to be wild, and I'm here for it. I'm also really looking forward to the Pillars match with MJF. I really think they've done, again, it's antithetical. Y'all like that? Antithetical from WWE, where this is all about story for AEW. Like all the pillars, like you've seen the story with Jungle Boy, with Sammy, and with Darby. They've each had matches where they've had to work their way to get to this point. They've been told a story. They've had vignettes. There's so much story behind this, and I'm really looking forward to the pillars match. I think it's going to be good. Anarchy in the Arena, though, takes the cake for me. I think it's going to be a wild mess, and I'm all the way here for it.
So we talked about why did Brock attack Cody? What the heck is Don Callis doing? First of all, okay. So
great question.
That part of it, like I don't know. Okay, whatever. The Anarchy in the Arena thing, Kale, me and you were on the same page on this. I remember the last one they had when Wild Thing kept just playing over and over.
So awesome.
I had never wanted to be in an arena as bad as I did that night.
Yes.
Like, I'm just thinking, like, what? I've already been thinking, like, how can I get to Vegas before this Sunday? I can't, by the way. But also the Pillars match. You know, here's what's great about the Pillars match to me is if you just take out all the build and you just look at those 4 guys, one of those sticks out as being above the rest, and that's MJF. Right? Like, those other 3 guys are great workers. I don't mean that, but I mean, like, when you think about main event guys, it's MJF. And so, and they've used him in that way, right? And these other guys now, they've told the story over this time since this has been announced to make you believe that those other 3 guys who you normally wouldn't like, would you have ever thought Jungle Boy would be MJF for the championship? And you may not believe it now, but they've done a good job of making you think it's a possibility. Sammy, I'm on board with Darby, whatever, but I just think about the way they've told the story there. And Kale, you're right. They have done just the opposite of what we're used to talking about the last hour. I still think, you know, MJF is the main event guy of those of those 4, but I think it's a match that's going to be very interesting to see how it plays out. Are they willing to all 3 work against MJF? All those things that we could talk about down the road, but I think those 2, and I'm telling you, as much as I'm not a big Jeff Jarrett fan, I'm an FTR guy.
Jeff Jarrett. Kyle loves Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah, he's going to leave now. When he said that.
He's going to leave.
but seriously, FTR, I'm all in on anything that FTR is involved in at this point, and I think adding the Mark Briscoe side of it. So I think there's some things there. Look, there's still some matches on this card that I'm like, whatever, let's just get through. But you got to fill the time spot, so I get that. And then Cole and Jericho, you know, there's a lot of good things on the match, but Anarchy in the Arena, and then the 4 Pillars match, and then I'm really looking forward to FTR and Lethal. I don't want to say he's an underrated worker, but he doesn't necessarily get talked about in the way that he should with what he's accomplished and what he's done. I think Lethal's a really good worker.
I'm going to go contrarian on a lot of y'all because I've really been disappointed in the AEW product the last few months in the big picture. And I've really not even enjoyed the MJF stuff with the 4 Pillars because I don't think there's a believable scenario where MJF is going to lose this. And you look at some of the other main events in the past, you had a lot of reasonable doubt. I'm going to use your term that you brought up and other things. And just as I was thinking about double or nothing in 2022. So I pulled up the run sheet of what happened last year. And there were so many just really developed storylines. CM Punk and Adam Page. You had Adam Cole and Samoa Joe. You had the House of Black against Death Triangle. You had MJF and Wardlow. Remember last time MJF took he got squashed in that match. And American Top Team was relevant. And there's all of these different talents that, there were storylines built up to this. With this, you have Anarchy in the Arena, but that's just kind of, it's kind of thrown together because you got to, what else are they going to do? Because, they've kind of developed that story. The Four Pillars is a nice story, but they have not developed it at all. And they have not made me a believer that Sammy or Darby or Jungle Boy could beat MJF or are smart enough to beat MJF in this one. Do you really think Jeff Jarrett is going to beat FTR? I mean, FTR is at next level. It's going to take a big team to knock them out. And then I love the Acclaim. That's one of my favorite acts. And, they're just getting kind of thrown into things. This is just one of the most underdeveloped cards. I know they're going to deliver because AEW, I mentioned that I don't think AJ against Seth is going to be a great match. I think the Four Pillars will be a 5-star kind of a match, but we know who's going to win. So it's just going to be watching it just to watch it. So overall, I'm kind of disappointed at the storytelling going into this because they are so used to having 8 to 10 really banger storylines and matches on the card. I think they'll develop. I think they'll deliver on the wrestling side, but the buildup has been weak for me.
Yeah, I mean, I get all sides of this, but I think it's gonna be a great card. I think the match I'm most looking forward to is Adam Cole and Chris Jericho. I mean, those are two of my favorites anyway. I love anything they do, and I like the whole it's unsanctioned, and so just there's no telling what's gonna happen. I just like both those guys, and I think they're gonna put on a good match. But I think the Pillars match is gonna be really good. Like I said from the beginning, I thought it was gonna be a good match. I thought they have. I thought they've developed it better than what Matt was portraying. But I mean, yes, they could have done more, but they've at least given me a reason to be invested now. And I don't believe Jungle Boy can win, but I do. I think MJF wins, but I do see paths to like a Sammy or a Darby Allin winning. It wouldn't be the craziest thing, but obviously MJF's going to hold the title for a little bit, and it's going to take someone really strong to take it from him. But I think we could get a lot of close calls there. But Jungle Boy's he's hard to believe as he should never be in a world title match. He's a good performer and everything, but this should be his first and only last title shot, at least a main title. He can go for the international championship every once in a while against Orange Cassidy. I'm interested in that match too, just to see, those blackjack battle royals. You always get like a wild card of who someone unique comes out, and a lot of times we hear who it is before, but it'd be interesting to see if we get a wild card there.
Can it be Cardona finally? Can it be Cardona? We've been begging for that, right? To get Cardona in there.
Speaking of Cardona, do y'all ever see his? I don't even know if I follow him on Twitter, but his tweets pop up all the time, and he goes after everybody. He goes after the guy that has a show with Boomer Esiason. He's trying to pick a fight with everybody.
Well, he just won his. I think he just won his 8th belt. I think he just won. Was it the Hog Championship? I don't know, but he's got 8 titles. I saw someone ask how many titles he has, and he's like the belt collector. It would be interesting for him to pop in, but then if you pop somebody like that, he's got to win, right? I mean, you
definitely. That's collecting the belt. It's a title match. Also, do we think Christian could get a title here? I mean, obviously we can get some Luchasaurus funny business probably, and do we think Christian's going to beat Wardlow and have that title keep bouncing around? Or
why would you do that? Christian Cage is like 50 years old almost. I mean,
I'm just glad that
I know, but
Wardlow finally called him out about his little jacket last week. I appreciated that. Finally, get some bigger clothes, man. The Jungle Boy thing, though, I don't think he can win necessarily, right? But I think we're going to see the Jungle Boy. I've read a lot in the last couple weeks about being a heel turn coming for Jungle Boy. This would be the situation where that could happen. But I think Darby's the one that they built up into the guy that, it's been all business with him. Like, even Sammy had the bit where he's working with MJF. But Darby's been all business since it's been announced or whatever. I think he would be the guy that you would believe maybe the most. The bidding war of 2024 doesn't happen without the belt around his waist, so he's not losing anytime soon, by the way. But I think it's an interesting concept, being the Pillars match or whatever. But I know we're going to go through and pick all these, but we're going to talk about them all before. But Hayter and Storm could be a really good women's match as opposed to the ones we talked about in WWE, right? Like Hayter and Storm could be a really good match. There's going to be a lot of different moving pieces in there, but man, I think both of those two, in terms of women's wrestling, Still a Britt Baker fan, but give me those two, and that'd be a great match, I think, potentially.
Well, I think Jade and Ty Valkyrie is going to be a good one too. Like, I mean, I like how they've done that, and Jade just it's like she needs to be in the main title picture, but you also don't want her to lose. You know, she keeps winning, so like I'm trying to figure out how to get the belt off her without.
She trades in her TBS championship for a title shot or something like that.
I can see her losing this
Didn't
week.
they used to do that? Didn't one of the wrestling promotions used to do that?
TNA
Impact.
Yeah.
Like if you were the X Division champion, yeah.
Ultimate X or whatever I don't know.
I used to love those matches. It was like a better version of a ladder match.
Yeah.
But I can give you a quick test to let you know if the Four Pillars match was going to be something. Could you not literally name 10 wrestlers under AEW contract that you would believe could beat Jungle Boy, Darby, and Sammy Guevara if they got put in a four-way match? There's at least 10 that you could look at. Put Kenny Omega in there. Kenny is going to beat them. You put Moxley in there. Moxley would be the favorite there. You can put Bryan Danielson in there. You see him. You can go through over and over and over. And this is our matches. We got Sammy Guevara, Darby Allin, and Jungle Boy as going to be the competition for MJF.
It's like they forced this match. Like, they made the Four Pillars. It's like, oh, we need to get this match in. Make sure with this match, something happens and MGF goes on to another company or somebody leaves. It's kind of like the Four Horsemen in WWE. They never were able to get that four-way match before, they lost. They lost some of them for, they left the company and they still never got that match, which I think WWE probably still regrets that they weren't able to get that before Sasha Banks left. But I think that's why they do it more than anything else, is they feel like, okay, we've got these pillars. We need to have them fight each other more than they're not really ready. And I agree with Matt 100%. Like, there could have been a number of people that I would think, okay, they could beat MJF, but I just, these three they've got, I mean, they're kind of mid-card guys, honestly.
But I don't think that's why they're doing the match. I don't think the match is so that any of those guys can win the championship. I think it's more the development of MJF as the character, right? Like this, we've seen him go. His promos have been a lot of him almost working through his own stuff. You could think back any number of promos about him developing on the inside and what he's working through emotionally and all. I mean, once again, we're getting way deep on this stuff, right? But I just think that it's another step for him as he develops, right? Like, I don't think they're worried about MJF's not leaving, by the way. I read something the other day. I heard somebody talking about it on Twitter. MJF's character is not MJF if he goes to WWE. He's not leaving. He would have so many reins put on him when he went over there that he wouldn't be what he is. So he's not leaving. And Tony Khan's going to pay him whatever he wants to stay, by the way, because he's that guy. But the point is, I think it's just a development of MJF as he goes along. And who's going to be the next guy, right? Is it going to be – who knows what's going to be, right? But I think the match is not ever intended – it was never intended for any of those guys to win. It's him proving to himself that he's better than those other three guys, which we all know. But I think that's just part of the character development for MJF, which is what I think AEW does well.
All right, let's pick some matches, fellas. Y'all ready?
By the way, they got really deep, and I didn't mean it to be that way. I'm just saying, like, I think that there's more
okay,
to
Jeremy. You can get really deep here. It's a Disrespect Sports Network. You can say whatever you want.
I don't know. Golly.
Except for KO talking about Saudi Arabia sociological issues. We can't have any of that.
We'll have to censor him with
That's right. It's disrespectful.
And that got a little uncomfortable, but that's okay.
All right, so first match I've got here. I'll just go up the list.
Hey, Bret.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can we just run through? Can I just run through and pick mine?
Yeah,
if
you need to do that, we wouldn't want any excuses on why you got beat, Kyle.
Right. So I'll just do a rapid fire real quick.
All right. Do you want me to go in the order we're going in, so I'll have them in the right order?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I'll just run them to you, and you tell me who you got. All right. We got Chris Jericho versus Adam Cole.
Adam Cole. Picking Adam Cole, baby.
All right. We got Ethan Page and the Guns versus Isaiah Cassidy and the Hardys.
Gross. Who is it?
I think it's like the Firm. They're calling it the Firm versus the Hardy something. So it's
Hardy
the group.
Party.
Hardy Party. There you go. Hardy Party. So
Ethan Page and them.
the Firm. Okay.
Gross.
He said gross.
All right. Next up, Jade Cargill versus Taya Valkyrie.
Jade needs to lose at some point. I don't think it's this week though. Jade.
Okay. BCC versus Elite.
It's gonna be a good one. I'm taking the Elite. No. I take that back. Blackpool Combat Club. Don Callis is gonna screw it up somehow for him.
Okay. Jamie Hayter versus Tony Storm.
Ooh. Give me the Haterade. I like Jamie Hayter.
All right. Orange Cassidy versus the 20 competitors. I don't know how we picked this one. Do we have to try to guess? It's either, do we say it's either he retains or someone else? I mean, I don't know how you even pick
Orange
this
of the field.
Yeah. I'm still taking Orange. He ain't losing that. Well, I'm taking Orange. I think Orange is losing it soon because he's on TV. He's showing that he's really beat up. So I think he's going to lose it soon, but I don't think in a 21-man blackjack, whatever they're calling it, is going to be where
blackjack battle royal.
Yeah, I don't think that's where he loses it, but I do think he loses it, but not this week.
Okay. We got Wardlow versus Christian Cage.
This TNT title has been bouncing around left and right. I mean, if it was a no DQ, I would pick Christian Cage because I think Luchasaurus would help. Oh, it is a ladder match. Then Christian Cage and Luchasaurus.
That's why I was saying Christian earlier. But
yeah,
keep going.
Christian.
Okay. You got FTR versus Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett. I know you're going with Lethal and Jarrett here, Kyle.
God.
FTR. Oh, with a special guest referee, Mark Briscoe, Kyle.
Yeah, Briscoe's going to get involved somehow, but I'm taking FTR for sure.
Okay. All right, main event, the Pillars match, 4-way match for the AEW Championship.
MJF's retaining. He's not losing the title this year, but I do think it's going to be a good match. I think it's going to be a very good match. I think there's going to be close calls because here's the thing. And I heard you talking earlier, Matt, about how none of these people are ready, which I kind of disagree, but that's a story for a different day. But I will say,
y'all disagree. That's surprising.
Hey, I do listen. I do enjoy having Matt on here though, as a different point of view, because it's not just a bunch of yes men agreeing with everybody. I do like the alternative point of view.
That's why we have 5 point of views. They can't all be the same.
Well, not all the time. But anyway, I think it's going to be
except for Night of Champions.
I think it's going to be a really good match. I think with the 4-way, there's an opportunity where MJF doesn't even have to be pinned to lose his title. So I think that adds some intrigue to it. But I still think MJF retains. I don't think he's losing this title the remainder of 2023. So I got MJF.
All right, Kyle, that's your picks. Thanks for joining us this evening, sir.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Y'all have a great rest of the show. I'll watch it when I get off.
Make sure the news goes off right. Make sure the news goes off right, KL. We're depending on you.
You won't even see my news because I'm working KCRE, so I'm dealing with Lufkin and Nacogdoches area. You won't even see my news, but I promise you, it'll be immaculate.
Awesome.
All right, guys.
All right. Thanks, Kyle. And that was the speed round with Kyle Owens.
So, Brett, are we not going to pick I guess because they're not all official yet, the pre-show matches? Or?
Well, I just had the main card. That's
fine because I don't think they're all official yet anyway. But
they probably won't. They'll probably have some added matches for tomorrow.
Yeah, but if these 3 are the ones that happen, they're not bad. It's that they're saying House of Black defending the trios against Claimed and Billy, and then Swerve versus Keith Lee, and then Ricky Starks versus Jay White. So if those 3 happen, that'd be pretty good.
Those aren't bad matches. No.
I mean for free on YouTube. I mean.
Yeah. Okay, so
it's gonna be free for me and Bret anyway, isn't it, Bret?
That's right. Jeremy's got
I gotta figure out whose house I'm coming to what. I gotta figure where I'm going to watch on Sunday night.
Hey, I'll be around, so I can hook you up with some good service, Brandon, if you're interested.
We'll talk
I
off.
feel like we are incriminating ourselves on the felony level at this point.
Matt hasn't said anything, so he either has the same connections or he just doesn't want to say.
I don't talk about. We don't talk about Fight Club for sure.
That's the first rule for sure.
But IPTV is a beautiful thing.
Smart man. All right, so here we go. Chris Jericho, Adam Cole. I'm really interested in this match. I always loved Adam Cole when he was at WWE with Undisputed Era. I think that group somehow comes back and formed itself. I don't know if it's yet, but this match is unsanctioned, so some kind of shenanigans are going to be involved. I did like last week's Dynamite. I'm assuming all you guys watched it, where Roderick Strong lured him outside, and then Adam Cole was barred from the arena, and then Adam Cole able to help him win over Jericho. I thought that was clever. And so we'll see what kind of shenanigans happen. But it could go either way here, honestly. It's one of those matches I think could go either way. I think the feud continues on after this. I don't think this is the end of the JS versus Undisputed Era, whatever it turns into. But I'm going to go with Adam Cole, even though I think equally Chris Jericho could win this match and continue on the feud. But I'm going to go with Adam Cole, and maybe a surprise shows up.
Well, I want Adam Cole to win. I'm with you. I love Adam Cole's work. I think since he's been back, I think it's a great story that he's come back and all that kind of stuff. But I think Jericho will find a way to win. This has Jericho cheating his way to a win. It's not really cheating, I guess, if it's unsanctioned or whatever. But I think that Jericho finds a way to win this one, and because they will come back to it. I think it will be a continuous thing, and Cole gets the win in the end, gets the ultimate payoff. But Jericho, this has him winning written all over it, in my opinion.
I'm gonna have to pick on you, Brandon. By the way, since KO is gone, I need somebody to bully during.
It's BO instead of KO.
That's right. You know, the BO show, and I'll have to get my steel chair out and knock him in the back. But really, Brett, I'm going to take it at you on this one because, and you too a little bit, Jeremy. But you mentioned that you think this could go either way, and you took Jericho. I am shocked by that. To me, this is one of the more clear cut. Adam Cole is going to win. Why would his first feud back after a year gone, after all that whole All Access thing, he's going to lose his first feud to the guy who lost to Action Andretti? I mean, Jericho's been jobbing left and right to anybody these days, and he's been entertaining. He's been putting on great shows, but he's losing. I mean, he's giving back right now, and I don't think this is going to be one that's even going to be in my head.
If it's an unsanctioned match, Matt, does it even count against your record?
It might not,
So that could be a way out for Jericho to win, but technically Adam Cole didn't lose the match. I don't know.
Because it never happened.
I don't know. I'm arguing against my own pick. I'm going with Adam Cole, but just thinking about but from your perspective there, this would be a way for AEW to say, okay, well, Adam Cole didn't lose because it's unsanctioned.
I just think if they're
Adam Cole.
Yeah, I just think if they're going to continue, it's Jericho in this round, and we go to Adam Cole. If it's going to be over here, then I would agree to be Adam Cole clear cut, is what I would think.
All right, Brandon, what do you think?
I'm gonna go with Adam Cole. It's hard for me to ever pick against him, but I mean, I think it'll be a good match, and I wouldn't surprise me if Jericho wins. And I like what Jeremy said. I could definitely see that happening, but most of the time I'm gonna pick Adam Cole to win. Even if he loses, he just I don't know. There's something about he's probably he might be my favorite wrestler right now.
So that sounds awful familiar, Brandon.
I'd rather go down with
That's one of the CM theories. It sounds like I like Adam Cole, so I'm just going to go with him no matter what.
Yeah, that's what's like. I'd rather go down swinging with Adam Cole. Like if I'm gonna be wrong, I'd rather
But no
Jeremy,
matter what,
doesn't that sound familiar, Jeremy?
It does.
That same theory.
I will say this: that no matter what happens, even if Jericho wins, Adam Cole is still the winner at the end of the day because Britt Baker.
And she's not in this on the card. I assume she's probably going to get involved in the title match with Hayter, because the Outcasts are going to be at ringside. So I assume that's where she's going to be
She could get involved in this one.
I think she'll be getting involved in this
Yeah.
match. I mean, they made her a part of that angle with the beatdown that Jericho orchestrated. So I could see her very well being involved in this one and maybe get Anna JAS out there or something, to kind of.
Yeah, that's true. We could.
We have our own anarchy in the arena with this match.
You can never have too much Britt Baker on the TV.
Never.
All right, so Jereme, you're on an island there, so you could gain one on us there.
The island of relevancy, I believe.
The next match I think it was Kyle's favorite match to pick. It's the Firm versus the Hardy Party. Now I didn't get to see this. I want to go back because I don't watch Rampage very much. Did any of you guys see the deletion match? Oh, I wanted to go back.
I'm a couple weeks behind, so
I wanted to see that. I always enjoyed that back whenever the Impact days with the whole compound and all that, the Hardy compound. I love those matches, the theatrical part of it, and just Matt Hardy may be one of the best creative minds in wrestling. They need to get him in there and have him do some of the storylines because he does a great job with it. But I don't know where this is going. I thought the Firm was deleted. I don't know. I'm confused on why we're still continuing this. So I'm going with the Hardy Party. Jeff Hardy's back. They're kind of hot right now because of him returning. I'm going with Hardy Party to win this match.
There's also like a weird stipulation where if they win, Matt gets Ethan Page's contract. Because Ethan Page and Stokely had his and Isaiah's for a while. Now if Hardy wins, he gets Ethan Page's. So I guess we continue with that. So
that could be interesting.
Yeah.
Underutilized guy. Party. Ethan Page, underutilized. I think Ethan Page can be I really like his work when he's working on his own. The American Top Team thing I wasn't a huge fan of, but just on his own, I think he could be good. But I agree with you. I think that Hardy Party will win just because of the stipulation that states that they get his contract. And by the way, Bret, you mentioned Matt Hardy. I think Jeff Hardy's one of those great creative minds too. I think those two together, could really help somebody down the road. And I think they're probably working on some of this stuff too. But I just think that he's kind of not been able to get out of his own way in his own personal life. But I think they're both very creative and intelligent people.
Do you think they had anything to do with the Briscoe? Remember they had the little Briscoe storyline where they went to the Briscoes and they were helping them out. That was kind of similar to the Hardy compound type deal. And Matt shaking his head. So I thought that was kind of interesting, something that they may do more of too.
Yeah, I really like that. That was a nice vignette. I think of all the final deletion matches that they've had at the compound, it's probably the least. I don't think they gave them enough time to really develop that and work through it. I like Hardy Party. I think Ethan Page. I do miss Dan Lambert though, Jeremy. So I'm gonna have to say
that's
that.
fair. That's fair.
I love him as a heel. He has that Dominic Mysterio hateability to him. You can go out there and just make everybody real mad real quick. But I can't wait to see, that's one of those things that AEW has that WWE doesn't. I mean, we're talking about a storyline development over multiple months on a basically opening card match, just something that is a throwaway match compared to what these other things we're going to talk about. And there's months of storyline development and we can see storyline. Is this going to happen? Kind of like what we're talking about with the Bloodline. What are they going to do with the Ethan Page contract? And we're talking about storylines in just regular matches. And it seems like the WWE, if they can't put a belt on it, they can't put a storyline on it. So
sometimes even with the belt, they can't put a storyline with it.
It's true.
I mean, look at Natalia versus Rhea Ripley. Just because there's a belt doesn't mean we're interested in it. So yeah, this was very interesting one. I think again, I like the Hardy stuff. I know they've done it a lot in other companies, but they could still do some stuff in AEW with it just because there's so many different people that they can go against. And that's what I think they find interesting, how they're able to weave them in and out of, you've got one group going against another. They have them going at each other for a while. They run its course and they kind of weave themselves into another program. And it's like seamless a lot of times. So did everybody...
Tony Khan's little notebook paper that he has.
Yeah. All right. So Matt, did you make your pick there?
Hardy Party.
Okay, because I lost audio for a second there. I unplugged my headphones. Brandon, who you got
Yep.
there?
Party.
Hardy Party. Okay. So Kyle's by himself on that one. He's going with the firm. I think it's because he was overthinking it too much.
He didn't know who's picking. He has no idea.
Okay. All right. So we got the next one. BCC versus the Elite. Man, the Anarchy match. There's going to be the Moxley effect is what I call this match. There's going to be blood everywhere in this match. It's going to be nasty. It's just going to be great. I love these kind of matches as long as there's some, and they've kind of gone back and forth with this feud for a little bit. You got the reunited Elite with Adam Page in the mix. You got lots of things crossed. You had Adam Page not liking Omega. Now they're back together. You had Moxley and Page not liking each other. I mean, a lot of different things have intertwined, and now they're back, and you've got the groups again. I think this match favors BCC just because of the brutality and all that in it. The Elite's coming in kind of injured. But I like Kyle's theory about Don Callis. I'm not sure. They really haven't completely told us why he did that to Kenny Omega. I guess because he didn't like that they were getting back together with the Elite. He thinks that he's, with Don Callis and Kenny Omega, they won all these belts and now he's not being the Kenny Omega that he knew. I'm assuming that's why he took Kenny out. That's kind of what I gathered from it. I think he's somehow involved in this, and I think this kind of continues on for a little bit longer. And I'm going to go with BCC on this one.
We mentioned earlier about when they announced they were going to go Anarchy in the arena, how excited we were. I was actually hoping for blood and guts. That's what I was hoping we were going to get.
There will probably be blood and guts in this match, Jeremy.
Well, but I want the official. I want you to lock them in a cage and give them all the weapons. I want us to see what happens. But I think that will happen down the road. I think we're going to get that between those two. I'm going to go with the Elite here. I think just the adding Adam Page back, bring it. I think Omega pissed off at Callis, and I think if Callis is involved, which I think he will be, it'll be for Omega to get him back. I'm going to go with the Elite just because I think it will continue, and I think that BCC has just kind of built themselves up. Probably, I don't know. The storytelling in this one has been BCC is better than everybody else, and we're the only ones who were this, we're the only ones who were that, and I think that this round goes to the Elite because I think we're going to get a lot more. But I do like bringing Page back, and I don't know. I want the Elite to win, I guess, more than anything, and it's going to continue. So it ultimately doesn't matter. It's not the ultimate end of this thing.
Do they extend this out to the All In, All Out pay-per-views?
Blood and guts at Wembley, maybe.
Ooh,
I'm just kidding. I don't know how far it goes.
That crowd's gonna be on fire. So can you imagine that kind of match? I mean,
and you got to think that the Wembley crowd would be pro BCC with just the people involved there. So I think at the end you let BCC win at the end of this. At the end of this feud, is BCC on top? I don't know if they would do that or not, but it would be an interesting match to have there. I think they will face each other in some way at Wembley.
I actually think BCC needs this more than the Elite. I mean, you look at kind of the individuals. You had Danielson lose to MJF at the last pay-per-view. You had Moxley lose to Hangman at the last pay-per-view. I think, when you add up kind of the sum of the parts, you've got two big stars for the Elite, but you got three big stars over on the BCC with Claudio on top of that. I think it's easy to stick one of the loss on one of the Young Bucks, and I think that's what's going to happen. I think they will end up losing, but again, I think it's going to be an entertaining match, and I think the storyline will go on. But I think because of Callis, that's your built-in easy explanation of the continuation of the story. So I'm taking BCC.
I don't know. I'm looking forward to this match. They're gonna be fighting all the way from Vegas all the way to North Carolina. I do hate that we probably won't get Kenny's entrance for this match. We'll probably get the Carry On My Wayward Sons, but I do love when Justin Roberts introduces Kenny, and it's probably one of my favorite entrances in wrestling. But gonna be a fun match. I'll go with the elite. The elite too. I think they'll pull it off. I like y'all's points on why the Blackpool Combat Club win, but I'm gonna be kind of like Jeremy, and I guess you would say Corey there too. Is that I want the elite to win, so I'm gonna go with the elite. But
it's funny that Corey doesn't even set foot on any of these shows, but yet he gets more mentions than
We need to get Corey on. I think that's a good plan.
That would be interesting. He
We're
used to
running out of
watch
windows, though. You know.
Hey, this thing can put us all over the screen. I think we can have up to like 9 people on here.
That's scary.
Yeah, that would be his commentary would be rather entertaining.
That's why I'm ready for basketball. Oh, anyway, we'll stop there. I'm ready for basketball to get my man Corey in the gym. But anyway. Yeah.
Oh, we're ready. Don't worry. All right, so basically we split 2-2 between the 4 of us on that one. All right, next match. Jade Cargill versus Taya Valkyrie, AEW TBS Championship. I don't think, my opinion on Jade Cargill, I don't think she loses this belt. I think it ends up she trades it in or she gets promoted to the actual AEW Championship. So I'm going with Jade Cargill here.
Yeah, I think Jade wins. I don't think you don't build her up the way you have with this however many days and all this kind of stuff to have her lose to Taya. I like Taya. I don't think she's a worthy competitor, but I don't think that's how it ends. I don't think that would be a way for the story to end with her. So I think Jade wins.
I agree. I think Jade wins, but this is the first time in the litany of opponents that Jade has. I think you could see a story. I mean, they've actually built Ty up to be a formidable competitor to her. I think Jade is going to win, but I think it's going to make both of them look better in the process.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be a match. I'm going to go with Jade. It's going to be opposite now because I'd like to see Taya win. Just because, I mean, I like, I was never a big Taya fan, but I've liked how they've used her since they brought her in. I don't know, I've liked the little, I mean, Mark Sterling gets in the way, but I've liked the thing with her and Jade. And, but yeah, I agree with Bret on, because I want to see Jade keep winning. I want to see her go for the main title still undefeated. So she doesn't need to lose yet. She needs to get, I don't know if she's going to get to 100 because I think what was she at 51, 52 or something? Or
she's
50?
Over,
she's not. I don't think she'll get.
I thought she's over 70.
Huh?
I think.
She may be, but I don't think she'll ever get to 100. But I think she's going to get up there.
Well, my thinking is that you want to use that to put somebody over really big. Like if she's undefeated like that, and she's won this whole time, you want to put that on your next big star that you want to put over. Kind of like we talked about with Roman Reigns. Whoever goes over Roman, you want to use that smartly. You just want to put somebody random. That person needs to be the next big star. And so I don't think Taya Valkyrie, she's not it right now. All right. Next match. We'll go to the next women's championship. We got Jamie Hayter versus Toni Storm for the AEW Women's Championship. There's going to be a lot of things going on in this match. Things on the side, outside, interference. No telling what's all going to be involved. When you've got the Outcast will be looming around. Also, Britt Baker and probably a few others will be looming around. So this could go multiple ways. I think Hayter's too hot right now. I think she's gonna retain. Toni Storm's already had a title run at this point, and I don't think that's who takes the title off Hayter. I'm going to go with Jamie Hayter here.
I'm a little different as far as maybe what you're kind of mentioning in the mainstream. I'm not liking Hayter. I just don't. I don't buy
it.
The
fans was what I was going with. Like,
well, I mean, I don't even get why. I usually consider myself hot with the fans. I think I was ahead of the curve on Acclaimed and some of the other ones. I don't get Hayter, and maybe it's a niche market or something as far as that goes. But I mean, I think Britt Baker, Britt Baker Page or Soraya.
Okay, Matt. So when we go to here's my prediction for All In Wembley. You have Jamie Hayter versus Soraya.
That's money.
I mean, isn't that the two you'd want to see over there in the UK area?
Me personally, I'd rather see Britt Baker against
But
Jamie Hayter.
for the
Break them up.
the
And
fans point though.
I get it, and there's definitely something to be said there. But maybe you could have Jade versus Saraya, and that puts Jade over bigly as a monster heel if she gets that win, and then you can have Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter. They're both, for me, Britt Baker as a heel is just phenomenal, and I miss that.
Well, you think they're not gonna go there now because they're trying to sell them on the All Access. So they're kind of the good guys for now. But I think eventually Britt gets tired of Jamie Hayter getting all the spotlight, and turns heel, and they go at it at some point.
And in what better place than Wembley? But I think Hayter's going to keep winning. I don't think Tony Storm is that person. But obviously, with Thunder Rosa coming back, there's a couple of ready built storylines for a lot of people there.
I'm a huge Tony Storm fan, but I think Hayter's going to win. And I originally thought, it seemed like they were going to that Hayter Britt Baker, but then when they went to this Outcast thing, I think that kind of delayed that story a little bit because the Outcast thing got pushed to the forefront. And so once that kind of dies back down, then they may go back to Hayter Baker, and maybe eventually split them up. But they had to see this Outcast thing out through once Ruby Soho switched to their side, and they had to get this going for a little bit, but. I think it's more likely at Wembley we would get Hayter Saraya, and then later down the line get Hayter and Britt.
So everybody's on Hayter, right?
We're sipping on the Haterade, Jeremy. Are you sipping on the Haterade?
This is one of those matches, and we've had this discussion, right? I'm not a huge women's wrestling fan. I don't hate it. I don't dislike it, but it's not something I'm usually interested in. I'm interested to see these two go at it. I really am. And for the sake of trying to win another competition, I'm going to go with Storm. I don't know. I mean, I agree that Hayter and Saraya down the road is better, Britt and Hayter and all that kind of stuff, but maybe there's a lot of time between now and Wembley, right? There's going to be some things happen between then. You got time for all that kind of stuff to work out. Maybe you put the belt on Storm, which is now somebody you can believe that Jade can come in and beat for that title. I mean, there's all kind of things, right, that could happen on the road. I'm going to go with Storm, really for no other reason than I have a coin here. I could flip it if you want me to, but we'll go with Storm just to maybe take the win.
All right.
At least I know two of you I'm beating now.
All right. Well, we got the next match. Orange Cassidy versus The Field in a 21-man blackjack battle royal for the AEW International Championship. I like Orange Cassidy. I think his character is hilarious. I love how he carries his title in the backpack every time he has it in his bag and brings us to the ring. The Field versus 20. The odds are just not in his favor here. I think this is a way you could give him a break and you could have him lose and him not take the pin. So I'm actually going to take The Field here, even though I wouldn't be sad if Orange Cassidy won. I'm going with the odds here, and the odds say that someone else goes away with the International Championship.
Was it Double or Nothing or All In last year where we got the first Jane entrance? I think it was Double or Nothing last year where he had been doing the other stuff. I'm going to take Orange Cassidy. I don't think that he cares about the break. I think the guy they have done a great job of taking him from somebody who was not a joke, right? But his stick is a little.
He leads off every show. Have y'all noticed that? They go open and it's boom, he hits his music, and just about every week, I'd say 2 out of 3 weeks about he's the first match.
When I first started watching AEW, I was kind of like, okay, who's this guy, right? He's their comedy guy. But they have done a good job of him being a competitive guy now who can compete again. Think of the guys he's knocked off along the way in the matches he's had in the last couple of years.
He owns his character too, Jeremy.
I love it.
He knows what it is. It's different. It's not like anybody else. And the things he can do with his hands in this pocket, as funny as it is, it's incredible.
Yeah, it's crazy. I hope the guy wins. I enjoy watching him. I think he's one of the best things There's a lot of good things about the show. It's one of the best things that I enjoy watching. But where's our boy Danhausen, Brett? Like, is he involved in this match? What in the world is going on? Where's he at?
He got hurt.
He was with Hook for a while, which I enjoyed them.
Yes. Is Hook in this match? Because that's another guy we don't talk a lot about. Anyway, but I think Orange Cassidy's a guy. They like having the belt on. I think
And
it's
hard to know too without knowing who's in the match. You're just going with.
So you don't even have like a list of who's in it.
It just says 20 competitors, TBD, which we might find some of those out tomorrow night, and we may.
I know Hobbs will be in it.
They'll throw a bunch of tag teams in there. It works.
Ray Phoenix
Yeah.
I agree with Bret. I think when you're doing mathematics, 20 out of 21, according to my math, that's a 95% chance he's going to lose. A little bit more of a fraction there, but 94.8 or something. I think we're probably going to see a big return. A Miro or something is going to come into this, and that wild card will be the one who ends up winning it. Maybe take that championship over to Collision and get that ready to go. I think this is an easy way to make him lose and not impact him at all.
That sounded awful familiar, Matt. Thanks for following up my statement there.
I agree.
Being the professor, it makes me sound really smart.
But if Cardona comes through the curtain, then Cardona's going to win. I'm just telling you.
All of this is AI, by the way. I'm an AI bot. All you're hearing is there's nothing real here.
Oh boy!
All right, Brandon.
I'm going with the field, and I like where Diggs went there with the Miro, and I'll go the same, but I'll say Andrade.
Mm.
Also, Andrade comes back and wins it, but it's going to be. I think we're going to have some mystery person we're not thinking of, and they're going to come win it. That's how these things normally work, right?
Yeah.
If we get to the end and there's no mystery person, then Orange Cassidy's going to win. But I'm gonna go. So kind of hedge my bets like Jereme did, but I'm gonna go with the field here.
Will the last person to come out be wearing a mask? MJF is MJF-ish, I guess, would be the correct phrase there, but. Anyway, just a joke. Whatever.
Wouldn't the roof come off if the last entrant was CM Punk?
Listen, I'm holding out hope. I thought
because they haven't mentioned him, and they were going to mention him with a new show. I know this would be go far out there, but just if it just happened and he was the actual wild card, holy moly, the place would explode.
Because he doesn't have to win it.
I know before he came out last time, everyone knew he was coming out. It was rumored. You've heard nothing about it. It's been kind of silent. And if he was just to show up and be in this match, that would be. Whew.
Well, on a business side of things, I don't know if you saw this. AEW has a backup plan in place for not being able to host the first Collision in Chicago, right? Like, I think there's some validity to the idea that whatever happened with Punk may have broken down, unfortunately. Anyway, that's another deal.
They announced that tomorrow night where the first Collision will be.
Right.
So we'll see. We'll know tomorrow night where.
We'll see
does that give it away? Does that give it away though? If it's in Chicago, oh well, CM Punk's going to be there. I mean, is it pretty obvious at that point? I think so.
They didn't let that information out the first time on accident. By the way, we talked about that a few times tonight. It was out there for a reason, and then it went away for a reason. I think whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I'm
all for the surprise. I like the surprise. I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to get eyes on it, sell tickets, yada yada. For me as a wrestling fan, I don't want to know that kind of thing. I want to be like, oh my goodness, this just happened, and get the real life reaction versus, well, I'm still excited he's going to be there, but it kind of takes the fun away from it.
And they do a good job with surprises, right? Like, think back to the night that Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson both came back. Like, we were expecting one, we weren't expecting the other. And so they do a good job with those things. But I think the Punk thing is too obvious. If they announce it's going to be in Chicago, yeah, he's going to be back, is my opinion. But I don't know. I mean, a guy like Hook, could he win the Battle Royal? Yeah, he could win it. There's a lot of guys who could win it.
I like Miro and Andrade. Both of those were good suggestions.
Somebody that's going to go to Collision. I think you're right. I think there's something to that. And it could be Orange Cassidy. They're going to move over there. Who knows?
But at least it's not the Dynamite international championship going to Collision.
Oh,
Right.
gosh.
I mean, because now you have the TNT championship that's on TBS every week. That kind of interesting.
Mm-mm.
So does the TNT title now go to Collision on Saturday because it's on TNT, right? I don't know.
Is Collision going to be on TNT or is it going to be on Max?
I believe it's on TNT.
It's on TNT.
Saturday nights. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a TNT show.
Because originally when they did the TNT title, it was on TNT. When they moved to the TBS, you still had the TNT title on TBS. So now they have a show on TNT.
So they're
Do you move that over, and that's the main title for Collision?
That's
they
equal.
could just super early and super late when they have NBA and NHL games.
Yeah, well, true. So
What was it? I think we had a 4:30 Rampage on Fridays or something like that, or it's gonna be 4:30 this week. Like, what in the world, man? Like, imagine being in California. It's 2:30 when it comes on the air. You know, what are you doing?
And then when the NCAA tournament, they started like at 12:30, so midnight. So,
all right, the next match we got is for the ladder match for the TNT Championship: Wardlow versus Christian Cage. And Brandon's right. He said that while ago when Kyle was speaking, the ladder match. Is that so you think Christian Cage has a chance? Because I still think that I know as much as they bounce this title around, Christian Cage doesn't need a title. I don't think they don't need to put the title on if they're smart. Maybe eventually it's Luchasaurus that with Christian Cage help wins the title and that pushes him up. I'm going with that Wardlow is going to retain, and it's going to be a good ladder. I mean, Christian Cage does great in ladder matches. I think it's going to be a great match, but I'm thinking Wardlow is going to retain. He's going to battle and struggle through getting hit with ladders, and probably Luchasaurus is going to be involved, but I still think Wardlow is going to pick up the win.
I said it earlier. I'm going to stick with it. Christian's going to win. Luchasaurus is going to take him out of the match somehow, and Christian's just going to kind of either walk up the ladder, or Luchasaurus is going to lift him up, and because he's going to be beat up from Wardlow. He's after a bunch of powerbomb symphonies, and so then he's not going to be able to climb, but Luchasaurus will lift him up there, and he'll win, and just it kind of adds to his arrogance. You're like, I beat this monster, even though he's not going to he's not going to be the one beat him down, but he can use that to enhance his heel character, because he'll have that belt to rub it in people's faces for a little bit, even though he's doing it behind the big dinosaur.
Doesn't it say a lot about AEW though that a lot, except for Max, he's smarter than the rest of us, but the fact that we have a hard time picking who's going to win these matches, doesn't say a lot about the way they have built some of these things up.
It's different than the other pay-per-view we picked before this, right?
Yeah,
because we are all pretty similar on the picks.
I'm sitting here thinking, okay, yeah, man, what Brandon's saying makes perfect sense. No, what Bret's saying makes perfect sense. Heck, I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. I'm going to go with Christian too, because I think Luchasaurus does get involved. I think Christian will win the match. It's a ladder match for a reason. I mean, is it worth putting him in a ladder match just so Wardlow can beat Christian in a ladder match? Is that big of a deal to Wardlow's?
Well, it makes Wardlow look really good if he beats Christian Cage in his own match.
Especially if Wardlow does some crazy move where he throws Luchasaurus through off the ramp or something.
If he throws him through 3 ladders or something.
Or our tables or ladder. Yeah, they throws him off the ramp onto and just takes him completely out. Then you got Wardlow. It makes him look even stronger. It doesn't change my pick, but that would be how I would see it. He's going to have to destroy Luchasaurus.
But they have not been committed to protecting Wardlow, right? There have been times where he's lost and he hasn't looked the greatest. So I don't know that they're that concerned about protecting that guy. He's a guy who's going to be a good worker for them. They're going to put him on shows. He does all these, he's a big, strong guy and whatever. But I don't think they're worried about protecting him as much as.
And that's not why I'm going. I'm thinking because it's more of Christian doesn't need the title, that they're going to continue this feud and Luchasaurus is going to take it, versus the other that Wardlow is just that they're that big on Wardlow. I think it's more of that they don't. they're going to use Christian to push Luchasaurus. But if they put the title on Christian, then what does that do for Luchasaurus? Now he's just he's going to continue to be Christian's little crony. I think that he gets revenge for Christian Cage, and he's the one that knocks off Wardlow down the line. That's why I went with Wardlow versus what you guys are going. It's more about Christian not needing it, and Luchasaurus does need it versus Wardlow just needs it.
Well,
My guy Bret
Or curveball.
is completely on top of this thing. I agree with him, and I'm sitting here. Brandon is not being very convincing to me. I mean, Christian is a novelty act for you. I think you're just thinking of him back in TLC and 2003 at the Astrodome or whatever. You're reminiscing when it comes to this, and I actually disagree with you too, Jeremy. I think that they have protected Wardlow quite a bit. If he loses this, he is now officially the Sasha Banks of AEW. Just can't get more than one pay-per-view win in a row. I mean, they have bounced him back, but I mean, his losses, to Samoa Joe. I mean, and they kind of push Samoa Joe, and then something happens with him. I mean, we are 1 year from the anniversary of Wardlow not wiping out MJF, and you got to keep Wardlow strong to honor that match at all. So I think Wardlow is going to go in there, and he's going to, on the 1 year anniversary of the MJF squash match, he is going to beat Christian in probably one of those sneaky good matches. I think because he is super athletic and super talented. I remember him in the cage very early against Cody Rhodes doing moonsaults and things off of there. So I think that he is an incredible athlete, and I think he's going to get the win because, as Bret said, Christian doesn't need this. He doesn't need this at all. Luchasaurus needs it, but I think they're just going to use this to kind of build up Luchasaurus.
Well, I think that. Go ahead.
Curveball. Well, curveball here is Christian somehow gets hurt before he can't compete. Luchasaurus takes over, and then when Wardlow's about to win, Christian comes back out, low blows him. Luchasaurus climbs, and Luchasaurus does get his title.
But then nobody would win because Christian didn't win the match.
Well, I think.
No, I'm saying, but Christian gets hurt before the match even starts, and Luchasaurus replaces him.
Well, no, I'm saying as far as our picks go, your pick that would make sense for your pick because then nobody.
Oh yeah.
But I think Brandon's closer.
No, but that'd be.
I could see that though. I mean,
it's a ladder match, right? So you don't have to beat Wardlow clean. If you want to protect him, you can still protect him and have Luchasaurus somehow screw this thing up. But all right, let's go back to the very beginning of this Christian Luchasaurus thing. There was a moment where Luchasaurus turned on Christian for how long? It wasn't very long. Christian gets in his ear. He's back. And if AEW is anything, they always go back to things. They never leave it alone. At the end of this match, Christian wins. Luchasaurus turns on Christian. Luchasaurus gets the belt, and then you have Luchasaurus and Wardlow. Because you're right, Luchasaurus needs this more than the other two, right? Like, he's the one who needs the push because why doesn't he have a push? And so I could see that being something that happens here. So somewhere in the middle of what Brandon's saying and where I'm at maybe, but I think that could be the option there too, is to have him turn on Christian when it's over, because there was that moment where we saw that happen, and Christian was able to get him back. And will that happen again?
All right. The next matchup is FTR versus Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett for the AEW World Championship with special guest referee Mark Briscoe. You don't put that part of the end, and it's clear cut FTR, but how is Mark Briscoe going to play in this match? It's going to be the determination of the match. You don't put a special guest referee in there. I've never seen a special guest referee just be in there and not have something to do with it, whether he gets knocked out or he pulls some kind of shenanigan. Those kind of things always happen. But I'm with what Kyle said. We don't need to see Jeff Jarrett with a title. FTR, they're hot right now. They're on top. They need to face someone that's more formidable as far as if they're going to lose the titles. So even with the shenanigans, I don't know which way that's going to go, but I think FTR overcomes if something does get pulled and they still retain the titles.
Yeah, I think FTR is going to win. I think that at some point Mark Briscoe is going to catch a guitar from Jarrett, and somebody else will come in and get the pin. But I think FTR is winning. I don't think you can put Lethal and Jarrett over FTR. Like I said a minute ago, I really enjoyed Jay Lethal's work, even all the way back. You remember back to the TNA days with him and Flair. I thought, that stuff. I like the guy, but I think FTR wins. Man, there are not many more guys that I enjoy watching more than those two, and I think it'll be a win for them. And the Briscoe involvement, whatever that looks like, I think he's going to catch a guitar. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe FTR hits him again with something, but I think FTR gets the win.
Couple of things that I think are, I've actually been kind of impressed at Jarrett being able to still wrestle at his age. Him and Lethal, I don't think they're going to win this match by any means, but they've been entertaining, relatively speaking, in coming on here. But really, one thing that I think this match highlights is the trios division has really watered down the tag team division. I mean, this on paper is the best tag team division in the history of professional wrestling, and we're getting FTR against Jarrett and Lethal as our.
And then you don't even have the trios titles on the main show. It's going to be a pre-show match. So
right. And I mean, you got the Young Bucks. There's so many different amazing tag teams, and you could, flip you can get Omega and Page back as a tag team and have so many variants of amazing matches with FTR. And FTR for that year, even with, granted, the Briscoes were part of that run as well. We're just doing banger after banger after banger. And they'll have a very serviceable
the Acclaimed
match.
They were so hot.
Yeah.
And it just kind of, fizzled out.
And they're still hot. They just, they just don't have a story for them.
But could you imagine FTR and the Acclaim? Like,
yes,
give me that match.
Wembley.
Listen.
And you could throw some massive King lines out there, coronation, raps out there. But FTR is going to win this match. But I'm a little disappointed that this is the best we can get for AEW. But even though I'm saying at the same time, Jarrett and Lethal have impressed me, relatively speaking, with what they've done. There's so many better matches we could have had for Double or Nothing.
The storyline part of it's been pretty interesting. But the match is not, I don't think, is going to live up to the storylines. Because the whole stuff like we talked about earlier with Briscoe into the Briscoes, and they basically were like trying to suck up to Mark Briscoe, helping him on the farm and all that stuff. That was all interesting. The whole storyline Bill has been interesting, but I'm afraid, like you said, I think the match is going to let us down a little bit. And it's no offense to Jeff Jarrett. I mean, what is he? Closely 60. I mean, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still, for his age, he puts on a great. It's just there could be better matches with all the tag teams that have. I definitely agree.
And also props to AEW because we keep bashing on Omos and all that. They're doing interesting things with Satnam Singh. He's more of a comedy guy, but I mean, did you see that bump he took off the through two tables when as part of this build up? And I mean, he got up after about 2 or 3 minutes and came roaring back. But they're treating him as a monster, but at the same time, not making him serious.
But he's also where he's in his role where he fits. He's a big guy that can be muscle for a group. Yeah. I'm telling you, Omos with the Hurt Business would have been stellar. I know Lashley doesn't need technically a muscle, but if he's a heel and he's trying to run away from people like they have in the past, that would be a perfect spot for him. He comes in, he does his 2 moves to people, impresses with his strength, and he gets out of there. He doesn't have to talk. He just does his thing. And I think that's where they mess up with him. They're trying to push him to, a main event where it's not his spot. Some people, that's just, they play their role and they're good at that.
Maybe Omos will serve as the muscle for the Street Profits heel turn.
I could get behind that.
Wow. No.
No?
No, I was bought in. I was bought in, and Jeremy's like, no.
Why not, Jeremy? Why not?
We don't even have Cal here to crap on it. So.
The Street Profits don't need Omos. They don't. They don't need him.
But if they're heels and they're,
But if Omos needs the Street Profits?
He
Omos
does.
needs the Street Profits.
Omos could use any of us for, and it would help his situation currently. I do think, and kudos to AEW for making Jeff Jarrett somewhat
Relevant.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing a good job of including that guy in there. When he first came back, I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Well, they did the same thing with Sting too, Jeremy.
Yeah, and that dude's way older. I
know.
older.
Yeah.
He's
But
significantly older.
they've put him in good spots where he's been, they don't overuse him. He comes out with Darby. He gives Darby legitimacy. He's been gone for a while, and I expect I've heard him and versus Darby maybe as a final match at some point down the line, because I think that they've been rumored he's going to hang it up pretty soon. His contract's coming up, I think. But they made him relevant too. They do a good job of putting people in and not over pushing them to the top where they don't need to be. Like Sting doesn't need it. He's already been there. He's done that. Let him elevate somebody else either by, putting them over or being like in Darby's case, just being someone there to make him a bigger star.
It just feels like Jarrett's been more physical and more involved, I think, than Sting, and I think that's impressive to me. And they've used him in a storyline that's been relevant, and that's, I'm shocked by that. I thought it was going to be a waste. And even Satnam, if he would have helped the Mavericks the way he's helping out those two guys, then maybe he'd have a different career. But they're doing a great job with those guys. But I think FTR gets the win. I'm interested to see how Sanjay and those guys are involved in the match, because they will be on some level. And what happens with Mark Briscoe and I think it's going to be a great match. I don't want to say great match in that way. Physically, it may not be great, but I think it will be entertaining to watch and fun to watch.
It'll definitely be interesting.
Yet again, we're kind of getting back to that bloodline story point where we're not necessarily talking about great matches, but where's the story going to go? How is this going to work out? And AEW gives us this a lot more than.
It's honestly we've done a lot more of that in our picks than we have the other.
And you're willing to overlook the fact it may not be as great of a match, right? Like in WWE, it's a bad match and there was nothing to it. And at least in this, if this match is terrible, we're still going to be happy with the result based on what else goes on around it. So which is why I'm not speaking for everybody. That's why I love the show better than what we're getting on Monday and Friday.
Yeah. All right. So FTR for the sweep there, it looks like. Yeah. All right. The main event, the Pillars 4-way match for the AEW World Championship. MJF, Darby Allin, Jungle Boy Jack Perry, and Sammy Guevara. Sadly, the main event is super obvious to me. It's MJF. Like Matt talked about earlier, I just don't see these as legitimate competitors. I know it could go different ways where they could pin and he wouldn't be in there. The MJF is too hot as a heel right now that they would just do no service to take the belt off him at this point, unless it's for somebody they're legitimately pushing to the top. I don't think any of these three are that right now. So I'm saying MJF. Should be a great match, though. I mean, all four can work in the ring, so it's going to be a great match. I just don't think there's any outcome that I see other than MJF weaseling his way in somehow, some way, getting the victory as normal.
I just think he needs to have a dominant win. Like, I'm not that he needs it. I think you're right. He's going to weasel his way in. Darby's going to hit a coffin drop on Sammy, and then MJF's going to get a cheap one at the end and roll whatever. We all know how that's going to play out. I'd love to see them put MJF in a match where he just destroys them. I mentioned earlier, I think it's the storyline that's the real story here, not the match itself. And for him and what it would mean to him and for him to be able just to really dominate those three.
But his character's been sold, Jeremy, as being, I win Weasley and I'm smarter than you, and that's how I win.
But I think what I think is that, I don't know. I don't want to say what I feel like is that's going to change at some point where he doesn't want to win that way, right? Like I think the character is being built as someone who doesn't like hearing that's how he's winning. Like I think he wants to be known as the guy. That's why the pillar concept is so important here. Now he's the guy, and he has told him he's the guy, but he needs to go show it at this point, not just get the win.
MJF wins match of the night, 5-star by Dave Meltzer.
Wow. Earlier, I remember Matt saying he wasn't sold in this match, I thought, and then Man, he
I think he
shocks
I
me with
think
that
he
one.
said he wasn't sold on the other three
Story.
having a chance
Story,
to
yeah.
win, not the actual.
Yeah.
Right. Am I correct there, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, it's
But
going to be a
that's
great match, but MJF's going to win. There's going to be no intrigue. The near falls, you're not going to really wonder, is this about to hit the map's going to hit the third time? MJF is winning this match, but I think they are going to lay it all on the line and give us everything, and I think it'll be a great match.
All
I'm
right.
going with Maxwell, Jacob Friedman, and I think he wins it, keeps the Triple B, and we'll see what's next for him.
I hate to even ask this question, but if it's not, let's say it's not going to be MJF, who would you think it would be next? Like, who would you think? Because I think it would be
Darby,
right? I mean,
Yep.
Sammy to me is a close second in that group. I don't think it's Jack Perry, but I think it would be Darby. And then
I wouldn't believe Jungle Boy. Like,
I would say for me, it would be Sammy Guevara as the biggest upside star wise right now. What Darby? What does he do? He just does crazy stuff. Do I really know much about him? Like Sammy's got a good persona already kind of built in. He's I think he's got a better chance of like being a solid heel, not MGF's level yet, but possibly at some point. Darby Allin, I don't know much about him other than he paints his face and he likes to skateboard and he does daredevil stuff. To me, I think Sammy would be my number one is if I was to pick someone else.
And if I had to pick someone else, I actually disagree with you. I think it would be Jungle Boy. I think the way they pushed him, he's the only logical person who could hold that thing. And given that you're shaking your head, Brandon, that lets you know how implausible it is for any of them to win other than MJF, because that's how much of a gap there is. And really, I love MJF. I love his storyline and arc and the whole supervillain things. Those promos against CM Punk were some of the best captivating TV KOs commentary that I've ever seen. But I think this has actually exposed a weakness in him that he really needs. He hasn't been able to build those three up. He needs established people to make him look good, the CM Punks, for him to really develop. I don't think he's done a very good job of this storyline much at all. And it was so predictable with the fact that this was going to be a four-way and the build to it. It's been a very disappointing thing. Now, that being said, I think they're going to go wrestle. I mean, if you remember that Darby Allin and MJF match, that was like a technical clinic, just back and forth kind of a thing. I think it's going to be a very technically sound, excellent wrestling match. But MJF has actually lowered his stock for me in this build because he hasn't shown he can build them up. And I think maybe they were kind of hoping or banking on that he would be able to do that in this build, and he just never did.
Good point.
CM Punk is coming back possibly soon, so we could revisit that.
Well, I was going to say in the tag team division, we talked about how it's a little weak right now. What about CM Punk and Ace Steel? Because they've shown that together they can do some damage, right? So maybe you put those two in a tag team.
Wow, Jeremy, wow. That man, I think that's a good way to wrap up tonight. There got any final thoughts about this pay-per-view?
Not, in general, I think it's going to be a great one. I think this is a bad weekend for WWE that put their performance out on Saturday and these guys to go on Sunday. I think obviously AEW is never going to put WWE out of business, but I think the disparity between what they do is going to be WWE puts on a show, right? AEW puts on a wrestling show, and I think there's two different things here, but I think it's going to look really bad back-to-back nights having them like that. And I think that the AEW is going to look really well on come Sunday night.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be rough. Brandon, Matt, any thoughts there to wrap things up?
It's gonna be a fun weekend of wrestling. I mean, you start early Saturday with Night of Champions, and I guess the NXT one like early Sunday too. I think it's pretty early in the day because there's no way they're gonna go head to head with AEW. That would just be idiotic. So I would take it. It's like
they are going head to head, if I remember right.
I can tell you, we got let's see. NXT Battleground is the same day as AEW.
I know it's the same day, but I didn't know about the time start.
It's head to head.
2 hours running.
7 o'clock. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, that's rough there.
actually.
I'll watch that on Monday or Tuesday or whenever. But I mean, I know we're not talking about that pay-per-view, but there's some, I don't know how much y'all watch NXT. I'm a couple weeks behind, but there's gonna be some good matches on there. I hate that they're doing that. I wish they would have gave it, a noon start and gave it early in the day because Carmelo and Braun always put on a good match, and there's some good matches on there, but it's gonna just it's buried because what time it's going on.
Yeah. Well, my final thoughts are I'm not sure if I'm scared or if I'm feeling good about my picks because I picked the same as Professor Diggs tonight. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing that we agreed tonight, Matt.
Well, I am your reigning and defending DFW varsity pick'em champion for 2 straight years in high school football. So I mean,
so I should feel good about my picks then, huh? Okay.
I feel pretty good about your picks.
However, Brett, let's talk about who won at WrestleMania. Because it was this guy.
It was, but Matt was not involved at that point in the pick.
But I wasn't involved. I mean, this is kind of like our own pillars match here, because Matt was involved at Backlash and I was not, right? So, I mean, now we're kind of.
You were involved in Matt.
You still see your picks in the ladder.
You made your picks.
Oh, I did. Yeah, it was afterwards. Yeah, so I probably won that one too.
But we tied, Brett, right, for Backlash. I feel like you and I ended up tying there too. So
yeah. And I feel like we've been on the same wavelength a lot tonight, Matt, which is a little different than normal, but it's okay. We're kind of on the same. Maybe we're watching the programs the same way. I don't know.
Well, we just saw him texting you during the show to tell you who to pick. I mean, we all saw it. You didn't think we saw it, but we did.
I mean, why would he want it? What would that do? What good would it do for him to give me his picks away? It wouldn't.
Well, I mean, when you slip him
we're establishing my heel turn on you, Brett. We're going to stay even, and then you're going to get the steel chair for SummerSlam.
I guess so. I guess we're on the same team right now. Then we'll turn on each other or something. I know you and Kyle right now are at odds, but maybe y'all will team up next week or next show and join forces.
Wait till football season. As Brandon can tell you, once I throw out some football HSOs, y'all may not like me anymore.
I love it. Let's go. Let's just start now.
There's a few things on Twitter I really like, and his late Friday night dumps or whatever he called district dumps or whatever. I look forward to those when I get home at 2 a.m. every Friday night.
Yeah, we've got some things, and that's another thing the net us in. We've got some great things coming down the pipe as well, and hope to have all you guys involved in that this year. And we've got a lot of things that we've added to our shows. We still gonna do a Brook Hill show, Jeremy? We still
yeah, we're working on that. I think so. I think it's gonna happen for us.
The Brook Hill show. I know we're gonna do Chapel Hill show. I know Matt. Are you gonna be doing anything with Terry? He said something about maybe you guys are going to.
We are actually taping tomorrow. We're going to do a small school DFW show because I'm Mr. Small School Diggsy comes out and Terry's got sideline to sideline. So we're going to put those two brains together and put his flavor and my flavor together, and there'll probably be a lot of conflict. So that'll be its own.
Good.
Well, I mean, if you and Terry put your brains together, there's yours and then yours when you put them together. So
I mean, given that East Texas owns Coach X, I mean that's all you got to say about East Texas right there. Tatum's own, right?
It's going to be a lot of fun, and there'll be a lot of integration between us and Terry and the L4 guys. We're excited to be a part of that, and also doing this Disrespect Sports Network. It's been a lot of fun, guys. Thank y'all for joining us tonight, everyone, and man, it's just, I don't know. Next week we might have 10 people. I don't know. It's the wrestling crew is getting large. It's the perfect 10. I don't know. But I appreciate everyone out there and you guys. It's like I said, we started off with just being me and Kyle as just kind of a hey, let's do this, and all these wrestling critics come out, and it's just been a lot of fun.
We kind of all just come out into the light, out of the darkness of watching our wrestling where we don't tell anybody. And now here we are. I love it.
But I've got to, and it's funny because I watch all this stuff by myself. You guys may feel the same. I need a place to air my grievances and my excitement somewhere, and this is kind of where it comes out at. as much as I get frustrated, and you guys mirrored that as well with some of the stuff. Some of it's been great. So and this is an interesting show because we're getting both companies involved in it. So it's kind of a night and day difference there. All right, well, I guess that's going to do it for tonight's Off the Ropes, episode 8. We'll have a review show of these pay-per-views at some point, probably next week. We'll have to find a time we can get back together. But until next time, for KO that's already left, for Brandon, Jeremy, and Matt, I'm Bret. We'll catch you next time right here on the Off the Ropes, episode 8, Night of Champions, AEW Double or Nothing edition. Good night, everybody.
The revolution is televised.